movie was about.
Yeah. Yeah. Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classes, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the lens, capture.
Good morning, ATL. Good morning, United States. Good morning, movie fans everywhere. It's your host, T-Will, and me and my guy, Jordan here. And we are here talking about Blade Trinity this morning at crack of dawn, 7:19 a.m. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing sleepy is how I'm doing. We're gonna get through it here, man. So we're talking about Blade Trinity here, man. And yeah, this was Jordan, I had to watch this one 3 times. I found
I'm
myself
sorry.
yeah, I found myself zoning out, man. So I had to go back and watch it a couple times to kind of just get my druthers, man, and get everything going. But hey, it worked out. We got there. We are committed to completing the MCU universe, and we must press on, sir. So, it is what it is. Today we're reviewing Blade Trinity. It was released in circa 2004. It's our Marvel rewatch for today. It was directed by Mr. David S. Goyer, produced by Peter Frankfurt, Wesley Snipes, and Lynn Harris. It was released December the 8th, 2004. So right about this time, about what? Sheesh. 2004, 2025. Yeah, about 21 years ago, right around this time. It was a project between New Line Cinema and Marvel Enterprises. The budget was $65 million. The gross was $132 million. I think they made a little bit of money at least. They profited something, right? Runtime was 113 minutes. The genre is horror and comic adaptation. Although this one didn't really feel like horror to me. It was, you could say it was a little gory, but it didn't feel like horror to me. Cast was Wesley Snipes, Jessica Biel, Ryan Reynolds, Dominic Purcell, Parker Posey, and Chris Christopherson. And yeah, man, they got into it. This was the third installment. It just kind of, for me, Jordan, there just wasn't, to me, the chemistry between them was not organic. Now we'll get into the scenes, and every movie has its moments, and this one certainly did. But if I had one, I don't want to say complaint, but one, I guess, suggestion about it was that the chemistry between Blade and Ryan Reynolds just was almost non-existent. It did have its moments, but it was just, to me, that was a miss. Blade is just quiet to himself, doesn't say anything. I mean, doesn't say anything, right? Just eerily quiet. And then you got Ryan Reynolds cracking these jokes, and it's just like miss after miss after miss. Like if he was playing in an NBA game, he'd be 0 for 32. Like, oh, brick again, Brick Mason. Oh my God, he'd be building houses, Jordan. Anyway, give me your thoughts on the chemistry, man. Give me your thoughts on this film. How you felt about the chemistry between Blade and Ryan Reynolds' character.
Well, I mean, this stems from Offset. That like is very well known with this movie that Wesley Snipes was in his trailer for the majority of the time, and that he barely talked to anyone. Now, in prior movies, he wanted to be referred to as Blade, Offset, and back then it was like, all right, method acting, got it. But he got a little cocky with this one, and he just didn't want to talk to anyone, and it led to issues with filming. It's not like there have been issues with other actors,
Uh-huh.
like being away from films and people have to shoot the movie without them. Um, One of them is Madam Web with the main actress that is
Another great movie.
yes,
I mean, wow, that
yes,
ooh.
yeah. And if you can't, my thought is if you have to film without your main lead, then you have an issue with the movie already.
You do have
Um,
you do.
yeah. So with this one, it's like that's why you'll see quite a few scenes without Blade and stuff. And I don't know. It's just it's very clear that whenever they were offset, that they just didn't talk to one another. And when they were on set, I mean, when Blade has no reaction to these jokes, it's because he doesn't have any dialogue, and Ryan Reynolds is literally just making this up as he goes. And it's not Ryan Reynolds' fault. It's because in the script it might say to mention something, say like to go off script, and because there's no communication there, it's like Ryan Reynolds has to make a joke. And in fact, without this movie, we wouldn't have Deadpool, because this movie inspired the comic to make a joke, a Deadpool comic to make a joke that uh, Deadpool looks like Ryan Reynolds, and it then led to Ryan Reynolds liking Deadpool so much, and it led to Deadpool being Ryan Reynolds. Like we wouldn't have Deadpool without this movie.
Well, something positive came out of it.
Yes, and yeah, it's very clear that in my opinion, and this is, I mean, this is Wesley Snipes' fault. I mean, you need to, if you need to communicate better. You need to get out of your house or your little whatever you're in, your trailer, and go talk. It doesn't matter how much lower. Like I understand it's Wesley Snipes, but it doesn't matter how much lower your co-stars are. Now another issue is this movie was intended to push both of the co-stars, both Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel, yeah, and both Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds. They were gonna do another project after this with just Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel, and
failed.
I think Wesley Snipes hated that idea so much that he took it out on them. And that's why he was not existent on the set. This is, and it's well known that they hated each other. That Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds didn't hate Wesley Snipes. It was Wesley Snipes hated Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan Reynolds was just kind of like, all right, dude, like, whatever. And because I mean, Ryan Reynolds already doesn't seem like that type of person to like just hate someone.
Yeah.
So, and he's very outgoing when it comes to any of his relationships.
Yeah.
So when Deadpool and Wolverine came out, I thought the last person I would ever see in that movie was Blade.
Yeah.
And it is the equivalent to me loading up Madden right now and seeing O.J. Simpson. Like I don't think I will ever see O.J. Simpson in Madden ever in my lifetime. And
I was not ready for that metaphor. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
Because because they, I mean, literally one of the first lines of dialogue between the two of them in the movie, and is something about like like I thought you hated me or something like that, or it's something. I don't remember the exact line of dialogue, but there was a clear dialogue between the two of them that was like hinting at that past relationship. But yeah, it was very clear that off screen, this was a very, very messy movie between the actors.
Mm. Well, I mean, it definitely translated on screen because it just was not a great chemistry. But thank you for that explanation because it explains a lot. So in scene one, they literally awaken Dracula. Danica Talos leads the vampires into Iraq to resurrect the original vampire Drake. Drake's emergence represents the return of pure vampiric power. Symbolism is the birth of evil and ancient dominance. Visual tone is heavy red filters and desert mystique. And what's funny is the guy, so the first guy to get killed, I'm like, bro, as soon as you start to see movement below, why don't you move? No, you just got to stick your head down there. And I could have told you what was going to happen, but no, you got to. Curiosity kills the cat, man. So this dude bites his head off, doesn't know who he is, just starts killing people. And what's interesting about him, sorry about that, that's my alarm going off. Several alarms going off. Sorry about that. Early in the morning. Is that it? There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah. So anyway, he starts killing. He starts wasting people, man. And I guess they finally get him under control and get him back to the vampire lair. This is the first time that we see Drake, and Drake has the ability to shapeshift, which is something new in the Blade world. So I thought, well, at least when I say shapeshift, I guess turn into other people, take other forms, right? So I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, so we transition away from that. And of course, it's not a Blade movie if he doesn't start out wasting people. And, in true Blade form, Blade is going after folks and wasting them and killing them in new and creative ways. Because, every movie he's got a new weapon, and this one doesn't disappoint. He has this, it's almost like a tiny spear / knife device. And he's able to throw it. And I think there's an attachment to it, but it's kind of cool the way he wields it and kills people. So that's the new hotness because, every movie Blade gets a new weapon. And of course, there's this chase, which I thought was pretty cool. First off, I love the car Blade drives. It's dope. It is outstanding. I freaking love it. And he dons like some new Gundam lights or whatever and kills some vampires. I thought that was pretty cool while he's driving. Of course, Whistler's in the truck, and there's this scene where Blade pulls out, turns around, kills some folks, chases down the final guy, and the final guy is not a vampire, right? Now, here's the thing, and this was kind of, I don't want to say off-brand for me, but you kind of got to pay attention to this, right? The one thing we know that Blade hates vampires that, no, he hates humans that basically help vampires. He hates them. So he kind of shows regret for killing this guy because I guess he knows it's caught on camera. But I kind of feel like Blade from Blade 1, Blade 2, he wouldn't care. He'd be like, you were helping them anyway. Hey, oh, okay, good for you. Guess what? Say hi to the devil. Like, I don't, to me, this is my first inconsistency because in Blade 1, when he's talking to, I can't think of her name, but the doctor, he kills the first guy that was not a vampire. And it was nothing. He was like, hey, it's just something we have to do. blah 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 blah. So we go from that to this one, and not that he feels bad for killing him, but it's almost he's like, okay, this is caught on camera. I really don't need that. I gotta go. But I still feel like the Blade that we know, I don't think he'd care, right? Give me your thoughts on this.
Well, yeah, I do agree. I mean, I think this is an inconsistency in terms of it doesn't. It's not something the Blade from Blade 1 and Blade 2 would have done.
Yeah, I don't think.
This and I mean, he does end up killing him in the end, but the hesitation, like Blade
Yeah,
shows no hesitation in what he
none at all.
does. So,
Not,
and
yeah,
it's just it was off brand. Um, I I think I don't this subplot of the whole movie is in my opinion the worst part of the movie.
mm,
Um, I just I think it's stupid. It's to get the police involved,
yeah,
and
and the FBI specifically.
you don't need it. You really didn't need that whole subplot. You take away that subplot and it does nothing.
Mm,
I mean, all it did was capture Blade, and it was like, ooh, Blade is now being looked at by the FBI, and I'm like, all right, like whatever. And it's like, oh, and then we realize that like these people have entered into the FBI now, and I'm like, all right. I mean, I guess that's interesting, but I mean, I assumed that based off. I mean, we in the first Blade movie, these people were police officers, so we kind of assumed that they also went into like other areas. So
right, law
like the
enforcement.
FBI, yeah.
Correct. Correct.
And so on this, yeah, this whole subplot was just kind of dumb and pointless.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it gives the FBI carte blanche to do what they need to do.
Hmm.
Um, and they're trying to feed this narrative that Blade is this crazy man who's convinced that vampires exist, and he's just a serial killer, and whatever. But the funny thing is, the two cops that question him, they're again just so campy. He's, "Oh, how many people have you killed, Blade?" And I'm like, just mustache twirling villain. All of I'm gonna use that a lot today, by the way. I'm just letting you know. It's not going anywhere, bud. But anyway, whatever. They bait him into killing the human. They take him in for questioning. Uh, One of the doctors shoots him up with something that's obviously going to, weaken him, right? And I guess the plan is for the real vampires to come in under the auspices that they are the FBI and take Blade away to this location. And they're questioning Blade after they've essentially given him this drug. And all of a sudden, enter Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel. And they are there to save him. And, I guess, I'm sorry, before that, Whistler had given, I guess, Blade a device to transport the serum or whatever, so he can feed, so he doesn't get hunger. But it's basically like this mask or whatever. But anyway, let's talk about this scene, man. This is the first scene we see. This is the first scene that we see Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds together. Let's talk
Can
about this. Give
can
me your
we take a step back though?
to the subway.
And that's to know that, and this is how crazy this death was. Whistler's dead. Whistler died, and like I get why we can like gloss over it, because like it's very like hit and miss.
Yeah,
Like they killed him off, and it's like I don't care. Like I watched it, and I'm like I feel no emotion whatsoever. Maybe that's because he got killed off in the first one, and that was, I mean, you and I were both in agreement that that was a pivotal one of that may have been the best scene in this entire trilogy,
hmm,
and they took it away in the first 5 minutes of Blade 2,
yeah,
and And that was a huge issue I had with Blade 2. And because of those consequences, you get into this movie and you kill him off right away, and it's like, and you don't even like. They tried to make it dramatic and stuff like that, like that he was taking all these FBI agents with him and stuff like that, and I'm like, this is one of the worst deaths I've seen in a Marvel movie because I just straight up don't care. How you
And
feel about it?
yeah, I pretty much the same. And they kind of did a little foreshadowing. So before that, he's like, Blade, you're kind of like a son to me. And
Yeah,
I'm sorry I got old on you. And then
yeah,
he's, they're relating or whatever. But I kind of feel like that's why Blade allowed himself to be killed. Excuse
yep.
me, allowed himself to be captured. Because in that moment, he's like, shh, dang it, they kill Whistler. And it takes, Blade doesn't talk much. So a lot of times you have to interpret his actions.
Hmm.
And so as he's standing there on the pier, like he could have gotten away, even though they got guns. Blade has bulletproof. He could have gotten away if he wanted to. But I think in that moment, he's like, dang it, Whistler's dead. And he just kind of. So a big theory of this film is Blade is alone. And he has to learn to trust people because Whistler even says to him, hey, this was given by so and so. And he says, you remember friends? You remember what friends are, right? And he's like, you can't do it by yourself. And so Whistler is like really his only true friend, right? I mean, people don't, Blade's not somebody that's going to stay with anybody, really. I don't know what happened to the doctor from the first one, but we never see her again. But he's not kind of a guy that sticks around. So I think in that moment, he's kind of, I won't say he's kind of grieving for just a minute,
Hmm.
right? Because one thing about Blade is constantly going. Blade doesn't have time to feel bad. Even when Jessica Biel's character loses one of her friends, he says to her 3 or 4 times, use it, use it, use it. Not at that pace, but I think what they're trying to say is this is how he gets by. We don't see Blade cry really because he doesn't have time, right? But he uses all of the death and the angst as fuel to keep going. But anyway,
Hmm.
I think he allowed himself to be caught because I
Yeah,
think he really did. The look on his face is like, damn, it's real this time. Like he's not coming back from that, right? Because it
yeah.
was an explosion. But it is kind of, we are desensitized by the time it happened because he just came back in part two, which made
Hmm.
the first death really kind of meaningless, right? And why we're kind of ambivalent about it when we get to this point. But thank you for reminding me of that.
Hmm.
So we get there. Uh, Whistler's daughter is there. Blade escapes, beats up some guys, and the funny thing is when he hears Ryan Reynolds say Whistler, and he turns around for just a second, as if, oh no, that's not him, right? Did you catch that? Like he turns
Hmm.
around, like, and then he sees it's his daughter, and he figures it. And the funny thing in this is that when the vampires start to approach, Blade leaves. Like
Hmm.
he bails out on them, right? And I really feel like a part of him was like, let me see if they're worthy. Because he could have stayed and fought with them, right? But he chose to go and get his sword, which he could have gotten at any time. But he bails out on they're cornered, I think, on both sides. And he goes up into the ventilation system and he's gone. And Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel are looking at each other like, what the hell? I thought this was a rescue, right? And they
Hmm.
bail out, do what they need to do. And then we see Jessica's cool weapons. And she before
Yeah.
Hawkeye, coolest bow and arrow ever.
Hmm.
Uh, really cool. But anyway, we see them, take care of the vampires, do what they need to do, leave. Um, and the funny thing is, as they're leaving, the elevator music that's playing while all of this chaos is going on, and they run out, and there's the elevator music, and then all of a sudden we see Blade crash out of a window and descend down, and he says, "I had to go get my sword," right? But it's kind of like he's kind of messing with them because he knows they're pissed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, give me your thoughts on this scene, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, to kill off Whistler and then have
His
his
daughter.
daughter show up like 5 minutes later. Bold strategy, Cotton, and I don't think it worked. I
No.
mean, you
No.
could have told me. In fact, the first time I watched this, I don't think it got through my head that that's Whistler's daughter. And like I thought maybe they could have done better in terms of like why, like explaining their backstory a little bit better.
Yep.
And maybe I would have felt more attached to her. I mean, it's to the point with these characters that like we're not gonna talk like say what their names are because they're Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Like I mean I don't, and nobody cares what their names are because they're that big of actors and actresses during that time. And Ryan Reynolds ended up getting bigger than that. And yeah, they could have definitely figured out a way to like make us feel more for Jessica Biel's character by just showing like her relationship, like showing her backstory with Whistler a little bit more. And with, I mean, Ryan Reynolds shows up and it's very apparent that he's going to be the comedic relief of this movie. And you know what? Honestly, even though a lot of the jokes were like hit or miss, I think because it's just there, it elevated the movie. And I think if you take it out, we're looking at another Blade 2 situation where it's just boring the whole way through. It's like they at least attempted for comedy. Even though it wasn't great, it was probably one of the worst Ryan Reynolds jokes out there. They attempted, and I appreciate the attempt. And some of them I was like, it was funny just to see Wesley Snipes' reaction or Blade's reaction to the jokes, because I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. Especially when you watch this movie and in the light of they hated each other offset, and you hear some of the jokes like I think you should smile more. You look at the movie in a whole different light. You're like, wait a minute, like that was actually hilarious because it was so.
He's talking to Wesley instead of Blade.
Yes, it was. So you're watching and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe that he just said that.
Yeah, on camera and captured it, and
yes.
that's a whole other subplot. Yeah,
and they kept it into the movie too. So like, who knows what got cut out of the movie? But yeah, I think the one issue I had with this movie is when you're doing a movie where the main character is like a legacy character and you have characters brought in to basically be the future of that franchise, you have to build a bridge between the characters. It's very clear off the bat that Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel's character are connected to Blade and feel for Blade. I mean, they go and rescue him and stuff like that. I don't feel that reciprocation though. I don't like Wesley Snipes is he's not like Blade is not, I would say, caring about them. Like if they died in this movie, I don't think he would react. And I mean, that's just who Blade is. But the thing is that's how you That's how you show respect. I don't feel like I saw Blade have any sort of respect towards those characters at all, and thus, if you wanted to do a spin-off with Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds later after this, I don't think anyone would have cared, and that's honestly why it didn't move forward, because there wasn't that reciprocation. That the mutual respect is what pushes legacy characters. You look at the Hawkeye series. There is a mutual respect between Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld's characters in that show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Haley Steinfeld looks up to Hawkeye, and Jeremy Renner is hesitant at first, but over the course of the show, she helps him out so much, and by the end, he looks at her like a daughter. And with this, there is no, I don't feel anything that like Blade feels nothing for these characters.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they really missed, and again, that's probably because of what happened offset.
Probably. What's interesting is the speech that he gives them. Well, no, let's go back. So let's go back. They're in front of the building,
Mm-hmm.
and the funny part is the getaway driver pulls in front of the building, and I gotta call BS on this. Getaway driver's black, Jordan. Okay, and excuse me for saying it. They'd have lit him up. Wait, what? Brr. They would not have stopped and waited for them to get into the van. And no, they would have. First off, the police have that section walled off. So you have no business driving in there. It's clear by him driving in there, they'd have lit his ass up.
Mm-hmm.
There wouldn't have been, because matter of fact, he stops, gets out of the van and says, "Hey, come on, guy." Nah, man. No, they'd have lit him up. So anyway, I had to throw that in there. But when they get to the honeycomb hideout or the night stalker hideout or whatever the hell they call it, he kind of gives them this speech like, "What the hell is this? What are you guys out here playing games? You think this is a game?" And it's like, I'm thinking to myself, they just rescued you. Like, what do you mean, Blake? They just rescued you. It'd be different if you just got away by yourself and you happened to come upon them. They rescued you. And not to say that they're of your caliber, because they're not. You're Blade, but it is kind of disrespectful, right? And I think what they were trying to do, I think they were trying to plant the seed of, okay, I don't respect you guys at first. And the arc is supposed to be, but we're essentially going to be a team, right? Because remember, Whistler, foreshadowing here, told them, well, everybody needs friends, everybody needs help. So there's supposed to be a natural arc, but it was so flat. And it never gets there because, again, these guys just don't play well together, Abigail Whistler and Hannibal King, their character arcs are so flat. To me, they never get there, right? They never get there. Even in Abigail's angst and her hurt, it kind of comes across as ambivalence. Because we really don't get to see the relationship with her and the lady that got killed. I mean, they're introduced, but we don't have enough time to see their bond. So when she dies, we really don't feel bad about it because we really didn't know her, right? Yep. This movie probably, oh, God forbid, but probably needed about 20 or more 30 minutes. Abigail and Hannibal King needed more character development.
Yes.
Okay. That was the one thing that I'd say about that. But anyway, they tell Blade about Drake and this really bad man who's this vampire. It's kind of cool the way he could change shapes, though. Yeah. I gotta admit, that was kind of cool. Like, he went from this demon looking thing to this human, and it's like, man, it did have its moments. So Drake explores the modern world in disgust of humanity. And I think this is talking about when he goes into this shop and he sees kind of like these caricatures of vampires and like this Count Chocula cereal. And I think he feels like the vampire culture is being mocked,
Mm-hmm.
right? At least that's how it comes across to me. And then dude is like, hey, bruh, she's talking to you. And he throws him out of which he kind of had that coming, right? Like, you don't know who you're talking to. Watch him out. Watch him out, young fella. But then, of course, he has to go and kill the young lady and bleed her dry because that is what he is. But let's talk about this scene, man. Let's talk about Drake. Let's talk about the actor who played him. How did you feel? Did you feel like he was okay, poor, bad? Like, give me your thoughts on his performance in this role.
I think the actor.
Is it
I think
Dominic
the act.
Purcell? Is that his name or something like that?
Yeah. Yep. I think he. I don't think I don't think he did a good job of acting in this. He just every time he spoke, like the dialogue was there. Um, I thought like his mannerisms and stuff were fine, but the way he was talking was just very. I don't know. It was maybe that was the point, but I mean, you have Dracula. I mean, also
He was kind of flat.
yes,
It's
yes,
kind of flat, right? Because I mean, think this is Dracula, and not that Dracula. Here comes that word again, Jordan. Is sassy. I'm not saying that, but he does have a little panache, right? He's got. When we think of Dracula, we think of charismatic. We don't
yeah,
think of rugged, right?
yeah.
And there's some vampires after him, but Dracula, the first Dracula, we think of him as being this charismatic vampire that could seduce. Dracula is a seductive tool. Not that he's a
Mm-hmm.
tool in today's sense, but I'm saying he seduces women.
Yeah.
He's charismatic. He's got a little swag to him. And Dominic Purcell's character is kind of flat. He's kind of like the guy you'd have a beer with watching a hockey game, as opposed to Dracula is the kind of guy that watch an opera and then leave and go kill three people. But he'd be
I
classy about it.
I wonder if that was what he was trying to portray, given that he's from a different time period and he's trying to adjust to cultures and I mean dialect. Um, if so, poor choice. Um, I mean, it was either the actor's voicing of him or it was the choice of the studio.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, I like the idea. I mean, I love the idea of Dracula and Blade. Like that should have been what this was called: Blade versus Dracula, or Dracula versus Blade. That's what this movie should have been called. You should like if you are closing out a trilogy of a vampire hunter killer Blade, and you want to close out the trilogy, you do Blade versus Dracula, and you make that the whole entire movie. But
Mhm.
the fact that they had to add in Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds, and there was different subplots, and it was a mess. So, and that's why the new Blade, they're trying to do with Mahershala Ali, they're trying to do Blade versus Dracula's daughter because they don't want to do Blade versus Dracula again. And I'm like, just do Blade versus Dracula. I'm okay with it. I'm still okay with Blade versus Dracula's daughter. I think because I heard Mia Goth might be playing uh, Dracula's daughter, and I'm like, I'm game with that. Mia Goth was she played Pearl in the X trilogy. She was the horror. There's a horror trilogy where it's X, Pearl, and Maxine, and she's in all three. She plays two different characters in all three, and she in the movie Pearl. Pearl is one of the greatest horror movies I've ever seen in my life, and her acting in that is some of the best acting I've ever seen in a horror movie, in probably any movie. I mean, just the way her acting is on another mental level, and it is incredible. And I thought, okay, her as Dracula's daughter would be incredible, and you could do a lot with Mahershala Ali as Blade and her as Dracula's daughter, and I think it would be amazing. Um, but they don't want to do Blade vs. Dracula because we kind of already did that with this, even though it kind of sucked. Well, kind of, no, it did suck. Um, but yeah, he's just, I don't know. It's how, like, I want to know how he has so much knowledge. My assumption is every time he like feeds off someone, he like takes their like memories and intelligence and like their ideas and stuff. So that's how he's able to learn like English and like
That
what's
makes
going
sense.
on in
That
certain
makes
that's
sense. Yeah.
which that's in vampire lore.
Yep.
That's I mean that happens. I just wish they kind of explained it.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I mean it kind of was flat, but I also think he's meant to be the stoic leader, or not stoic leader, stoic warrior, and like that he is from a time where he was fighting and battling people. I mean, you see when you were first introduced to him in his like vampire skeleton form, he's got like body armor and stuff
Mm.
like that. And by the end of the movie, I mean, him and Blade have this sword fight, which honestly, that was a pretty sick idea to have
Yeah.
that Blade with a sword. Or it is already great, but you have Dracula, an old school killer, an old school warrior with a sword. A fantastic idea. I loved it. Um, and that's, but otherwise, yeah, from his character perspective, I mean, he kind of, yeah, he's flat. He's flat.
I wonder if they were trying to do parallel arcs there with
Yeah.
with he and Blade. I mean, it could have been.
Yep.
Um,
That's what I was thinking.
Night Stalkers raid Danica's labs and discover the full power of Daystar, and they discover all of these human beings that were basically transigent or homeless, and they're basically brain dead and being fed off of, and it's disgusting. And then, we do have one of the funny parts in it where the police chief is like, they'll kill me. And Blade's like, MF, I'm going to kill you. And I'm right here. And that was kind of, it had it, it had its moments. But we see that. We see what they're capable of. And of course, Drake goes to the lair of the Nightwalkers. And, what I didn't understand is why not kill Ryan Reynolds? Because you come up on him first, right? That's what I didn't understand. Why leave him?
Yeah.
Right? You could have wasted everybody in there, right? So why just waste the woman? Right? I didn't get that, because again, Whistler's not the warrior here. Blade is. Well, I guess it wouldn't matter. Blade really didn't care about them anyway, but I just don't understand why not just kill everybody there. But anyway, whatever. I digress. He kills the blind woman, which is kind of disgusting, but he doesn't care. He's not human. She must have been terrified in her last moments there, but she does leave behind the clues to killing him, so that's a good thing. Yeah. So I don't know. I felt like, again, that the character arcs in this movie are flat. Even Blade's character arc is kind of flat. He does kind of become Whistler, right? So when Abigail Whistler gets back, we discover that I guess Ryan Reynolds has been taken, and maybe that was at the behest of the other young lady, Danica. But it just doesn't feel like Dracula would care about her agenda. This is Dracula, right? So if I'm Dracula, the baddest MFing vampire to ever live, why am I going to care about this long lost, diluted descendants agenda? I'm not, right? I'm killing everybody. So again, doesn't make sense, but whatever. We'll roll with it. So he kidnaps Ryan Reynolds. He kills Abigail's friend, and we see Abigail, upset. And I'll say that it was believable that she was upset there, but the transition from being upset to ambivalence to me was like it was just a miss, right? Because I mean, he's like, use it, use it, and I'm saying to myself, who talks that way when somebody just discovered their best friend is like, who does that? And I get that Blade is a little socially awkward. How could he not be? He's an orphan. He really wasn't socialized. He grew up on the street, but it's just such an awkward exchange, right? Use it, use it, use it. What the hell? If I'm her, I'm like, shut up, Blade, right? And then like before they go there to take them on, he's like, so on the one hand, he tells her to use it, but then he tells her not to let it consume her, and she's like, too late, I'm already there. But it's so flat. Like in that moment, I don't believe her, Jordan. I don't believe her. Right? It was not great. Right? Give me your thoughts on that scene. Just give me your thoughts on that.
I think they would have gotten the point across better if Blade literally went up to her into her face and gave her hard love and talk really fast and really straightforward, saying, if you don't use this right now, she will turn into a vampire and she will try and kill you. So you need to use it. And that's where you can say, use it. Yeah. You don't need to continue repeating it. Like sometimes simple is not better.
Yeah.
And this is one of those times. You needed more dialogue. We all knew why he was going to use it, but sometimes when we're in a situation where we are emotionally just not there, you need someone to literally look you in the face and tell you what you need to do in this moment.
Right.
And I think that would have gotten the point across her, and it would have gotten the point across the audience better. So, and yeah, I don't care for her death. I mean, nobody does. I mean, that's why they made her blind. That's literally why they made her blind, because is to make you feel for her. Because if she wasn't blind, she'd just be a friend that dies, and you're like, oh no. So,
oh no.
But she's blind, so you have to feel bad for her, and that's disgusting from a writing perspective. You don't.
It is. It really.
You don't do that.
It really. I did not like that. Because I'm like, I agree. I did not like that. I did.
So yeah, she was the scapegoat for this whole thing. That like, and then she has a daughter that needs to be brought up, even though honestly I don't even think that there was much of a point for her. It was just like either way they were going to go fight Dracula.
Yeah.
I guess it was to add an emotional essence to like why they were doing it. But the emotions in this movie are the worst parts of this movie because they're so generic, and they're just so
inorganic.
Yes, and you gotta, and I mean, when it comes to Whistler and Whistler's daughter, when it comes to literally the blind lady dying, when it comes to her daughter getting taken by Dracula, and I'm just like, I don't care. And I mean, Blade doesn't care about these people. Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel, I think there was an idea there for them to care for Blade. I think they respect Blade, but I don't think they care at all for Blade. And there's a huge difference because it led to this like detachment between the two sides of our heroes here. Also, I want to say one stupid thing about Dracula. This is very 2004 that we're not going to call him Dracula and we're just going to call him Drake because it's shorter. It's like, hi, my name's Joseph, but you can call me Joe. Like
Yo,
it's the same. It's the same thing. Like, call him Dracula.
yeah,
That's freaking cool. Like Dracula is cool. We don't need to call him Drake. Like, hey, that's like calling Frankenstein Frank. Like,
yeah,
nobody wants to do that.
it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Dag damn it, it's just disrespectful. Tell you what was cool though is when he's like, you know, so what do you think is going to happen when you die? And she's like, my friends are coming to kill you. She's like, I'm not worried. I'm going to heaven, and my friends are coming to kill you. And he's like, I thought that was kind of cool because you
Yeah.
know what? For a little kid, you gotta have a set of brass ones, man, to
Mhm.
know what this dude is, and to still tell him, yeah, my friends are coming to kill you. Like that. That took heart. So, I kind of like that one.
Mhm.
Then there's the scene where what's her name? Danica is beating up Ryan, and oh my gosh, she was such a mustache twirling villain. Like the one
Mhm.
thing I didn't like about her is that she does she's a very good villain in other films. I'll give her
Mhm.
that. But the script for this was just it was so campy, right? So in the scene where they're sitting at the table and they fail to get Blade the first time, and she smacks the girl, and she's like, we failed," and it's like, I don't believe that you guys are this consortium because you're too silly.
Mhm.
Like I don't believe you. You're too campy, right? And then he comes out and he's like, sounds like you need my help. Like it was just I didn't like that. And then so let's get back to this scene, and she's beating him up or whatever. And again, just campy, and he goes, that itch in the back of your throat, that's that's not there by accident. That's colloidal silver. And they start to realize, oh snap. And then he says, and right about now they should be coming through. And of course they don't come through, which I gotta admit, that's kind of funny. I'll
Mhm.
give you that. Okay. And then, what's her name comes through. No, Blade comes through first and leaves them there,
Mhm.
which was kind of funny. I got, again, this movie wasn't really funny, but it did have its moments. That was
Mhm.
kind of funny. And then Jessica Biel shows up, and he's like, he hates me, and she's like, yeah, he does, right? And then she sets him free, and of course it's the final showdown, right? And of course Blade's weapons comes out, and he's killing folks left and right, and then it's the final showdown between he and Drake, and it's going pretty good, right? For Blade until Drake decides, you know what, I'm not gonna play with this guy. Flame on, okay? I'm gonna put my armor on, and we're gonna go at it. And yeah, he proceeds to kick Blade's ass. Like it's a thank God for Jessica Biel's character because
Mhm.
Blade's gonna die if she doesn't do what she did, right? So uh, she shoots the bow and arrow with the poison in it, and it was kind of cool because he doesn't see her, but he catches it, right? And he
Mhm.
and he's distracted, and then he drops it, and she fires another one at him. And while he's distracted at that, Blade jabs the poison into him and releases the virus and kills everybody. But I tell you what, in that moment, if it's not for Abigail Whistler, Blade's dead. And
Yeah.
I think that was again the moment there is you do need friends, right? The whole crux of it is you do need friends because Blade, for all his might, and all his expertise, and all his weapons, he's dead if not for her.
Mhm.
So, I thought that was kind of cool. Give me your thoughts on this final scene, man.
Like I reiterated earlier, I'm gonna reiterate what I said earlier with the sword battle between them. I think is incredible, and I love that concept a lot because it's very old school. And while you have these weapons being used outside of this battle, just to have this bubble fight between Dracula and Blade with swords is such a cool concept, and I think they did well with this scene.
Yeah,
um,
it was a good scene.
I mean, I mean, who else would use a sword against Blade? That's not like a top another Marvel character that's like, because Dracula is obviously not Marvel, but
Hmm.
we'll call him Marvel adjacent now because I mean he is in the comics and stuff, but it's more. But we all know Dracula for Dracula lore outside of Marvel.
Hmm.
But it's who else was going to use a sword against Blade, and I think that's really cool. That's a really cool idea, and I'm sure that's one of the first ideas they had when I thought they probably thought, okay, we're having Dracula versus Blade. Blade has a sword. Why don't we do old school sword versus sword fight? And I'm like, that's yeah. Who would say no to that?
Hmm.
I mean, it's not like I mean, how else would Dracula fight with a machine gun? Like no, with pistols, no. That would be boring. That would be stupid. But they nailed this specific fight scene. All the other fights that are happening, I think there's cool fighting, and that's the one area of this movie that I really enjoyed was the fighting.
Yes.
I thought it was better than Blade. I mean, an argument could be made that it was better than Blade 1 and 2.
You could argue
Um,
that. You could definitely argue that.
and I think that's the times. I mean, when I don't know when Blade 2, I don't remember when Blade 2 came out, but there was a significant gap in between Blade 2 and Blade Trinity.
Mhm.
So, obviously, fighting and CGI have improved during that time frame. That was, I mean, around the mid 2000s when it was when you saw that shift in CGI really developing into something that you could utilize in all films and in different aspects of films. So and I think the CGI was fine in this movie. I mean, there wasn't really much CGI that you needed to use in this movie. Um, but yeah, I mean, I thought the fighting was great, and especially in this final battle. I mean, I thought the fights that Jessica Biel was having, I thought the fights that Ryan Reynolds was having. I mean, Ryan Reynolds in this, he's the comedic relief, and it felt like his final fight was like him slipping over a banana peel
Mhm.
because he would like win a fight with a really cool fight, and then he'd like fall back into the cell that he was in earlier. So and he had to get out of that, and then he'd go and like start fighting someone else, and then something would happen. It was like he'd do something really cool, but then they'd pull him back for comedic relief.
Mhm.
And
It
you
was
know
kind
what?
of funny though. It was kind of funny
Yeah.
when the dogs show up, right? And
Yes.
it's the Maltese, and then it's
Yes.
two other Dobermans or whatever they were with him. He's like, "You gotta be kidding."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's like, "All right, you guys be really nice." And all of a sudden their jaws open up, and he's like, "Oh." And you know what? He did what anybody else. Hey,
Mhm.
run, buddy, run. And he got
Mhm.
lucky on that one. But I thought that was kind of cool. And then he does fall, right? Because he's not
Yeah.
looking, and he falls, and then he's got to face Triple H.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a creative way he killed him. So
Mhm.
his character was very adaptable. We're at the point character arcs, and I just don't see an arc here. Even Blade, this Blade does go from isolated hunter to reluctant leader. He does, but it is still a very flat character arc, and the rest of these character arcs are almost they're non-existent. Like
Mhm.
I don't see a transformation in Abigail's character. I don't see a transformation in Hannibal King's character, and I definitely don't see one in Drake's character. You know,
I will say with Drake, I think there is this one character arc which I thought was very interesting
at
throughout the
the
film.
end, at the end,
Well, it was throughout the film because like when we're first introduced to him, like all the vampires are like, "We need you to kill Blade," and he's just like, he's like, "I don't care who this is.
right,
Like, I
right,
I'll just kill whoever." And he sees himself as above everyone, and that everybody is his like peasants.
right.
And when you get into this final fight, I mean, they share dialogue that's like, "I respect you. Like
Right.
you are different."
Blade did earn his respect. That is true.
Yes. and that it puts Blade on a new pedestal. That's like, you just killed the original vampire, and he is showing respect for you. And that, again, I love old school fights with like swords, and by the end of it, both warriors, both people battling respect one another.
Yeah.
And that was,
That's a good point. That's a good,
yes,
because he does. And he says, I'm gonna do you a solid. And he turns into Blade. When he dies, he camouflages himself as Blade so Blade could get away. So that's a good point. It was kind of reminiscent of Heat, right? Have you seen Heat first and foremost? With Robert De Niro and Al Pacino.
I have not.
You are. Oh God, you are like, we. At this point, Jordan, we just need to do a retreat. Like, you need like a month-long retreat. So, Heat was an excellent film. So it's about these two crews. One crew robs banks. They're not a gang. So I know you don't like gangster films or mob films. They're not mobbed up. Okay, they just rob banks for a living, right? You got Robert De Niro. You got godly, he just died, Val Kilmer. You got some other guys I can't remember. And then, of course, you got Al Pacino and his crew. And the thing about it is, Al Pacino is a great cop with a great crew, and Robert De Niro is equally as good. And the two meet at this coffee shop, and they sit down and have this exchange. And Al Pacino says to Robert De Niro, he says, you're sharp. You are sharp. I like the way you go about your business. He said, but if it comes down to it, and it's you or an ordinary Mo, and we're out there doing our thing, brother, I will not hesitate to put you down. And Robert De Niro says, in true Robert De Niro form, yeah, okay. I mean, we sat down, and yeah, we had something to eat, and yeah, you're pretty sharp, but let's say you do got me boxed in. I will not hesitate to put you down. And Al Pacino kind of looks at him and gives him this wry smile, and they leave. And so in the end of the film, when the conflict ensues and Al Pacino finally kills him, he stands with them because they're in this airfield where the planes take off, and they're by this hangar, and he holds his hand as he's dying as like this sign of respect. And so, and I'm glad you brought that up, because what he does say that there, and I forgot about that. So thank you for he does say, I respect the way that you fought, and he said, I think he says, who would have known that evolution was right in front of them talking about the vampires? And he says, yeah, he says, and I'm going to leave you with one thing: the thirst always wins, right? And then he dies. But you're right. I did miss that when there was that mutual sign of respect. So thank you for that. You are correct.
But you're correct also that, like, everybody else, there is no character arc in this movie. Blade has literally no arc whatsoever.
None. And this was like the first time you really saw that. And again, I think it was all the upheaval that was going on. Now, Blade was producing this one, so maybe there's pressure. You know what I mean? And I'm not using it as an excuse, but some folks can't do everything. Some folks just need to act because the pressure, right? Because you're wearing two hats. Like, you're a producer, so you got to worry about the budget and what about this and what about that, and you probably got the people that you report to from the studios calling you and da 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 da. And I don't know where Wesley was, but clearly there was they weren't in alignment, and you could see that. Anyway, let's get to some themes. Legacy and evolution, identity versus nature, power corrupts. I can see power corrupts being the theme of this film, and apparently Wesley's life at the time. Faith versus control, humanity's trust in science over spirit. I really don't care. I really didn't have any favorite three scenes. Did you?
The final fight between Dracula and Blade. I mean, I really enjoyed that idea, and I'm glad. I'm really glad that we got to see that on screen.
Okay.
Because that's something I will take away from this movie. There isn't a lot like I could take away from Blade 2. Like I can't, when thinking about Blade 2, I don't really remember all that much, and we just reviewed it a couple weeks ago.
Ah,
And with this movie, I can remember, there are a lot of parts that I can remember,
can remember,
because it's like, this is such a cool concept, and I'm glad we got to see this. Maybe the execution wasn't great; it could have been better, but the fact that we got it in general is great. So that's
fair.
number one. After that, I mean, there's not a whole lot that I love. All right, there's one scene, the dialogue in this and the way they wrote this, I was like, this is sick, but it's in a bad and good way. When Ryan Reynolds is captured and sitting in the chair, and the girl comes up to him and starts whispering to him, describing what she's gonna do to him, and says, "I'm gonna leave you starving here," and then Dracula and the little girl walk in. And he's like, then I'm going to put her in here.
For you to feed.
Yes. I was like, that is so disturbing and just
ruthless.
Wow. Ruthless.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, after that, I like some dialogue in this. Like I forgot my sword. Like
it had its moments. Like that was fun. Because I would have been pissed off. Like if I came to rescue you and you left and went in the vent, and then I'd be like, Jordan, what the hell, man? We would argue in front of that building. I'd be pissed. So it was kind of funny because it was like, I had to get my sword. It was, and the way he does it is kind of like he knows they're pissed, right? He knows. You know what? I do have a scene I like. That was the subway scene where the vampires attacked her. And what I think was good, the way that these are clearly not experienced warriors, right? Because thank God Dracula didn't approach her, because she'd be dead.
Yeah.
Or, a really experienced you could tell these vampires probably hadn't had their powers for more than 6 months, because they're unaware of a lot. And it explains why she's able to take them down. And not that she can't fight and she's not skilled, but let's face it, she's a human. And if she'd have taken on a vampire that's 500, 600 years old, that's probably not going to go well. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I like the way that they did that. I did like that. Strengths, analysis and critique. Choreography and action staging were pretty good. Cast chemistry, I don't know. That's not a strength for me. Stylish blend of horror and sci-fi. Weaknesses: underdeveloped villains. Fair. Studio interference. That makes sense. Uneven tone between comedy and horror, and I would argue between comedy and horror, and I would argue that the chemistry was not great.
One other thing I want to point this out, because I wanted to Google. I knew I was missing another issue offset. So, Blade David Goyer was who directed this. And David Goyer wanted to go in the direction of Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel taking the mantle, and Blade and Wesley Snipes hated that idea so much, and the only time they communicated with one another is Wesley Snipes would write on Post-it notes and then stick them somewhere for David Goyer to see.
Damn,
That's how they communicated.
That's petty.
Yeah, and he also refused to, in the morgue scene with Blade, you'll see his eyes, and his eyes look weird. It's because his eyes are CGI'd on. Wesley Snipes refused to open his eyes during that scene. And David Goyer was like, "You need to open your eyes," and Wesley Snipes said no, and so they literally CGI'd his eyes on. And that's the area of CGI where it was bad, but like I get why. There are just from the jump. Now he had to do this movie, because he had
Contractual.
he had contractual obligations to do that. So it was like, it seemed like Wesley Snipes was just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah, it very much felt that way.
Right.
It really did.
Right.
Snipes stayed in character as Blade offset. You did say that. That's correct. Yeah. Reynolds improvised 90% of his lines. You said that as well. Jessica Biel trained with archers. Original ending killed Blade, which probably was why he was pissed.
Yeah.
You know, because think about it. You're reading this, that you're gonna kill him off, and then you're gonna bring on and okay, I could see the resentment. Dominique Purcell's makeup took 4 hours. Posey's prosthetics from bat molds. Goyer planned a Night Stalkers trilogy. Well, there you go. Blade's stunt team was from The Matrix. There was a deleted scene that teased Morbius. And Daystar was inspired by real genetic tech.
Yeah, they always wanted to get Morbius somehow involved with Blade.
Fair. I had to throw this in about Blade's car. So in Blade Trinity, Blade drives a matte black 1968 Dodge Charger. This iconic muscle car was the hero car for the film and was used for both interior and exterior scenes. Oh my God, I love that car. I really did. Sequels and legacy. Well, the prequels were obviously Blade and Blade 2, and in my opinion, both were better. Blade was groundbreaking with a dark tone. That's fair. Blade 2 was Benicio del Toro's masterpiece, fan favorite. And Blade Trinity, for me, it was a miss. You know, for me, it was a miss. Placed in the MCU, predates MCU, but paved the way for darker superhero films. Influenced tone of Moon Knight, Daredevil, Punisher. Mahershala Ali's reboot continues the legacy within MC canon. If we get it, Rotten Tomatoes gave this a 25%. I agree with them 100%. The audience gave it a 59%. I agree with Rotten Tomatoes. Metacritic 38 out of 100. IMDb 5.9 out of 10. Cinema score B-. Fan verdict uneven but iconic finale. Snipes' presence is undeniable. I would say the lack of his presence is undeniable, but whatever. Blade Trinity closed a revolutionary chapter in Marvel's film history. Blah, 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 blah. So let's get to the ratings.
Well, let me add one more thing.
What you got?
And I don't know if you know this. Do you know that we got a Blade series after this that ties into this trilogy?
Was it a cartoon?
No, it was a live action, and it did not feature Wesley Snipes. There was a different actor who played Blade. It technically ties into this, but Deadpool and Wolverine makes it very clear that that's not connection. Not like, it's very clear from the writers and directors that is not connected to that whatsoever, even though when that first came out, it was connected. So it got retconned to not be connected to these. I've never watched it. I don't remember what it was on, but it was. I mean, I eventually I will go back and watch it. I'm sure you could probably get a DVD collection of it if it's not on streaming. Yeah, it's not even on streaming. It's on Apple TV, but you gotta pay $3.99 for it. But that's it. And I mean, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 50%. IMDb gave it a 6.2 out of 10. So like, it looks okay. It technically is tied into that. Sticky Fingers plays Blade. I don't know who that is.
I
He's
think
a rapper.
we're in the group Onyx. I think.
Oh, he was in Onyx. Okay, all
I
right.
think so. Yeah.
All right. Well, then I do know who he is. But I mean, I don't know if it was good. It probably was terrible. But and especially when you go from Wesley Snipes to him. I mean, when you go to Wesley Snipes to anyone, I mean, yeah, that's asking for issues. So yeah, there is that series. We're not reviewing that because again, it got retconned, so it
Thank you, God.
technically doesn't count.
Thank you, Lord.
Um,
Thank you.
but the whole reason that we went back and watched these movies, we wouldn't be watching these movies. Blade didn't show up in Deadpool and Wolverine, so Deadpool
Good.
and Wolverine continues the story of Wesley Snipes' Blade, and there's only ever going to be one Blade.
Understood, brother. Understood. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Let's rate this thing, man, because we still got to do X-Men Last Stand. So
Mm-hmm.
we got to do it, man. We got to do it. We got to do it. So we're getting up there, Jordan. We've done a lot. We don't even have Batman on here. We've done a lot of movies, buddy.
Yeah. And I will say before we get into this, I did change my score for Fantastic Four First Steps. I changed it. I rewatched it for the first time on Disney Plus. Originally, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I brought it down to a 9 out of 10. I think it's I still appreciate it a lot. I I don't think I'm gonna put it on that pedestal of a 9.5 out of 10. I was looking at all the other movies that I have at 9.5s out of 10. It just felt like an odd movie out. But then I looked at it compared to all the other 9 out of 10s, and I was like, it fits more into the 9 out of 10 for me. So yeah, the score got dropped to a 9 out of 10. I still view the film the same.
I think we may have done about 30 movies, Jordan. So this is 17 plus these two, that's 19. Plus the Batman series, that's 25. And I think we've done at least 5 new movies. So we did Fantastic Four First Steps. We did the new Superman. I want to say we did some other ones, but I honestly can't remember. So at a minimum, we've done 27. We've done a lot, man. We've done a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. My rating: Spider-Man 10 out of 10, Spider-Man 2 9.5 out of 10, Captain America 8 out of 10, X-Men First Class 8 out of 10, X-Men Dark Phoenix 8 out of 10, Fantastic Four First Steps 8 out of 10, Blade 8 out of 10, X2 7.5 out of 10, X-Men 7.5 out of 10, X-Men Apocalypse 7 out of 10, Fantastic Four 7 out of 10, Spider-Man 3 6.5 out of 10, Daredevil 6.5 out of 10, Captain Marvel 5.5 out of 10, Elektra 5.5 out of 10, Wolverine 5 out of 10, Blade 2 5 out of 10. You ready for this one? 5 out of 10.
So are you putting it where are you putting it in terms of X-Men Origins Wolverine? It's below everything. All right.
Everything. Yeah.
Okay.
5 out of 10 for me. All right, Jordan, here you go. Spider-Man 9.5 out of 10. Spider-Man 2 9.5 out of 10. Fantastic Four First Steps 9 out of 10. You did make that change. Thank you. Captain America, the First Avenger 8 out of 10. X-Men First Class 8 out of 10. Blade 7.5 out of 10. X2 7.5 out of 10. X-Men Apocalypse 7 out of 10. X-Men 7 out of 10. X-Men Dark Phoenix 6 out of 10. Fantastic Four 5 out of 10. X-Men Origins Wolverine 4 out of 10. Spider-Man 3 3.5 out of 10. Blade 2 3 out of 10. Daredevil 2.5 out of 10. Captain Marvel 2.5 out of 10. Elektra 1.5 out of 10. I can't wait for this one. What you got?
I appreciate some of the things in this movie, and I have a fun time. It's not a good movie. I'm not going to recommend it to anyone. It's just you'll notice with 4 out of 10s, I can still have some fun with I can have some fun with it, but it's just not very good. So I gave it a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
I have it above X-Men Origins Wolverine. I think there was I have the same issues with both these movies. with X-Men Origins Wolverine and Blade Trinity. The difference is there was so many plot lines in X-Men Origins Wolverine that I
Mhm.
just can't keep. I get mentally exhausted watching that film. With Blade Trinity, it's sort of straightforward. You have some subplots that you don't have major plots. You have subplots that you're like, okay, I get it. But both movies are flawed. I put them both in the same general area. I just would rather watch Blade Trinity. And yeah, I do have it above Blade 2. I I got bored with Blade 2. And every and I so this is the first time I've rated Blade 2, and Blade Trinity. This is the
Mhm.
first time in these rewatches. Now I have a rating for every single movie that we have connected. Um, and I the first time I watched these movies, I liked Blade. I liked Blade more the second time, the first Blade more than the second time. Um, with Blade 2, I still felt the same way. I felt bored by the end of the movie. And Blade Trinity, I felt the same way. That's just a flawed movie, but I still have some fun with
Mhm. It's interesting that how
it.
the experiences that we have during these movies.
Hmm.
Like, I'll be honest, I did not enjoy Blade Trinity. I enjoyed Blade 2 more. I did.
Hmm.
I still gave it a 5 out of 10, but for me, I enjoyed Blade 2 more because I could connect with the audience more. I felt like uh the love that Blade and what's her name had was real. And I just feel like he's a tortured soul, but that one was more believable than this.
Yeah.
This was just blah. And they both were boring at times. I'm not gonna lie. But it is what it is. Whatever, man. I'm so excited to get to X-Men Last Stand because
Hmm.
I really, really enjoyed that. And I don't know if I enjoyed it because Blade Trinity was so boring, but I really this was the fun part of this is going back and seeing a movie that you had seen before, but seeing some things in it that you missed, right?
Hmm.
And that's what this was for me. I really enjoyed X2 once I sat down and got past the fact that the Phoenix was not this outer space entity, which in the comic books it is, by the way. Okay,
Hmm.
so for those of you out there who watch this, uh, the Phoenix is an entity from outer space. It is a cosmic entity. It is very powerful, and it is almost like Thanos with 6 Infinity Stones. It's very hard to stop it. You got to kill the host, and then it's just going to go and find somewhere. You never really kill the Phoenix Force. Just saying. But let's go ahead and transition. So we're going to remove this, and now I got to add some stuff to here. Probably should have already done that, but it is early.
Yeah, X-Men Last Stand. I remember seeing this in theaters, and I enjoyed it when I went and saw it in theaters. But every time I've seen it since then, I feel worse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I because on there's so much going on in this movie.
It
And
is. It's a lot. It's a
my
lot.
gut feeling is that this is going to be the biggest difference in our scores in of any
Probably,
movie we've done so far.
probably will. I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it. It's weird because when I first saw this movie, I did not like it. And
Hmm.
I did not like it because they pissed me off when they were like, well, you know, the Phoenix Force, her powers were so great in the beginning that, we had to lock off a part of her brain and it was a part of her. I hated that.
Hmm.
I hated that because that is so against the comics. But
Hmm.
I guess because I knew about it this time, I really liked the way they did it. I thought it was, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was kind of cool. Now again, I mean, it is not true to form, and I'll give you that. It's
Hmm.
not true to the comic, but there were a lot of things that I did like about it. So
And
hey,
I'm open, and I am open with. with movies that go against the comics,
Yeah.
I am always open to new things, to change. I love it. Uh, um, I actually don't care, like, if, like, the way they did the Phoenix Force in this has always never been an issue with me.
Hmm.
I've been like, okay, this is good, because this was my live action introduction to. I mean, this was everybody's live action introduction to the Phoenix Force. Um, but like, the first time I saw the Phoenix Force was in the animated series, so it was a very different, drastic take, but
Oh
it
yeah.
was different, and I've never had an issue with it. It's the all the other stuff that happens in this movie that I'm like, okay.
Well, hey man, without further ado, let's get into it, bro. I cannot wait. So, this was directed by Brett Ratner. The writers were Zach Penn, Simon Kinberg. It was produced by Lauren Schuler, Donner, Ralph Winter, Avi Arid. The release date was May 26, 2006. Runtime was 104 minutes. Budget 210 million. Gross 460 million, $4 million. They made some good money off this one, Jordan.
Mhm.
Main cast: Hugh Jackman, Famke Janssen, who plays Jean Grey, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Halle Berry, Kelsey Grammer, Anna Paquin, James Marsden, Rebecca Romlin. Music was by John Powell. Um, and let's get to it. So, a pharmaceutical company announces a cure for mutations, splitting mutant kind. Magneto rallies an army to destroy it, while Professor X urges choice and peace. Meanwhile, Jean Grey resurrects as the uncontrollable Phoenix. The climactic battle at Alcatraz forces Wolverine to make an impossible decision to stop her power from destroying everything. That is a general overview. But let's get into it, right? So tell me how you feel, because this brought up a lot of. I like the X-Men because they bring up real world issues, right?
Mhm.
So if I'm a mutant, a part of my being would be my power,
Mhm.
right? So if there's a pharmaceutical company that announces a cure for mutation, I don't know that I would particularly care for that, because you're saying there's something wrong with me, right? It's like, if I'm a bird, you're cutting my wings to
Mhm.
make you more comfortable. Now,
Mhm.
again, we don't live in a vacuum. There are some very dangerous mutants out there, and I
Mhm.
get that, which is why this is such a tough issue.
Mhm.
Um, this for me is like certain factions around the world having nukes,
Mhm.
right? To protect themselves. Oh, they shouldn't have that. Well, you have it, right? You got blue eyes. You wouldn't want me to take your blue. Like, taking someone's mutant ability, it's like taking their eye color or
Mhm.
taking their hair color. Um, and so, like, I could see the argument for both sides. Now, don't get me wrong. You got some dangerous MFers out here. I get it, right? But it is not something to be taken lightly. And it's very interesting that, you know, I mean, you're talking about taking away somebody's essence, right? So give me your thoughts on that. Give me your thoughts. How do you feel about that?
Well, I agree 100% with you, and I will also add that there are mutants that are not necessarily dangerous, but like, and this is where we look at Rogue's story in this whole movie,
Yep.
is that Rogue doesn't like her powers,
Hmm.
and this is where they should have written her. And we've talked about this before, that I don't like the way that Rogue's character is written.
Hmm.
Um, and you could have made this to where the whole theme of this movie could have been loving yourself.
Yeah.
And they went into a direction that's like, no, Rogue wants this cure so that she can be with her boyfriend. And because if she doesn't take the cure, then she can't be with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, that's not a, that's, I don't like that. That there are instances that, like, yeah, in general, if I had Rogue's powers, I would probably take the cure. But if I had Wolverine's powers, if I had Jean's, Storm's, Magneto's, like I wouldn't. I mean, because that's me. That like you said, that's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
There's just certain instances that it's just maybe the mutation maybe takes away from you being you,
You. Right.
and like it does the flip side. Like either the mutation is a part of you, or you are a part of the mutation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I don't like the way they use the cure in terms of like just injecting anyone with it. That's just not good at all. But I think it's great to have people having a choice to whether they want to have this or not.
But that's
So
exactly how they would do it. The way that they
yeah, oh yeah,
utilize it
oh
in this
yeah,
movie is exactly
oh
the way
yeah,
they would do it.
yep,
Yeah, that's
100%.
exactly the way they would do it.
Yep.
And what's interesting is I don't even think it's so much I know Rogue is in love with Bobby, but I think she just wants to be touched. I think
Yes.
it's bigger than Bobby. I think she wants to be a normal kid. She
100%.
wants to experience it, right? And the thing I love about it is when Beast says to one of them, he says, well, because one of them gets offended when I think Storm gets offended when she's like, "It's not a cure," and he says, "Well, you appear normal. Not all of us,
Yep.
are impacted at the way that you are, and some of us would like to, which lets you know Beast wants to fit in, right?
Yes.
Which who wouldn't, right? And so it's a very polarizing issue
Hmm.
because there are some mutants who are like, man, you know what I mean? I mean, think about it. If you couldn't touch anybody, you
Hmm.
touch them, that would get old. So
Yeah.
I totally get Rogue's character arc. I get where Beast is coming from. But I thought it's very interesting. But
Hmm.
anyway, in scene one, Xavier and Magneto visit young Jean, and her telekinesis overpowers the room, and we kind of see that Xavier right there says, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something.
Hmm.
I can't let her in her natural state be."
Hmm.
Um, and they kind of lay the groundwork for what's to come. Um, and of course, they make the cure or whatever, and they announce it to the world. Obviously, people are upset. Magneto begins rallying the Brotherhood army, and he assembles quite a cast of some interesting villains there. You know what I mean? I thought that was kind of cool the way they did that. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, this should be a good fight. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Cyclops meets Jean at Alkali Lake
Hmm.
in scene three. And this was kind of sad because he's clearly broken,
Hmm.
right? He's clearly broken. And she appears to him almost godlike because when she first appears, the light is so bright. And for Cyclops to have to look away, Cyclops is a mutant with eyes that will shred anything. And for her to appear to him like this is just a reminder of just how powerful she is, right? He has to look away initially when she, I guess, descends to where he is. Um, and, she says, "Hey, look at me, trust me, it's okay." Expresses love, and then she kills him. And I couldn't figure out why. Like that was kind of the one thing about this. I could understand why you would kill Professor X. I don't advocate it, but I understand because you feel like you can't trust him. and because that other personality is driving the car and it's pissed. But I couldn't understand why kill Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your thoughts on that.
So, backstory behind this film is that James Marsden had scheduling conflicts, and that's why they killed him off.
Oh,
So either way, either way, either way, terrible decision, dumb decision, just stupid. Um, I get so frustrated every time I watch this movie at this particular part because I'm like, how are you going to kill Cyclops off screen? Off
yeah,
screen.
off screen.
And I'm like, oh my goodness. And like the way he's described to be killed, this is the lowest of low with Cyclops in this whole trilogy.
Mhm.
And this is now we can look at an overview of his Cyclops and how well he has been. And I mean, he peaked in the first X-Men movie.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't say there was much of a peak there. It was just like I don't know, it was a small little bump in the road.
Mhm.
And he's they wrote him awful. And I'm so curious. So all right, this happened yesterday. Uh there is rumors of leaks from the Avengers Doomsday set, which feature these actors and actresses in their costumes. Um, and now, with how great AI has been, I, I'm I'm usually great when it comes to depicting AI to see if like a picture is AI and stuff like that. I do really well with that. I mean, that's sort of my job now with like writing for sports to see if like an actual photo of someone is a photo of someone. But with this photo, it looks pretty real. And if it's AI, it's the first photo that's ever gotten me. And James Marsden is in that photo in his Cyclops costume that he will be wearing in Doomsday, which looks fantastic. That is all I'll say. If you want to go look at it later, you can. But all the costumes look fantastic. And I really hope that the Cyclops we get in Doomsday is the authentic Cyclops written well because these movies just did Cyclops
Dirty.
awful.
Yeah, they
Maybe the worst iteration of Cyclops that they could have possibly put out.
yeah. They
And
did.
he's just not a leader. He's stale. I mean, by this movie, he's just an emotional wreck, and it's just you're hitting a guy, you're kicking a guy when he's down, you're killing a guy when he's down,
Literally.
um,
Yeah.
and uh, oh, this is it's so frustrating, and like I'm trying to figure. I understand the Phoenix Force is taking control of her, but I'm trying to figure out like what would cause her to kill him. Like if you look at other scenes, it looks like it seems like the way someone talks to her, it
Mhm.
like you see a shift in her
It
brain.
agitates her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, any agitation, but like in this scene, there's not that. So I'm just confused by the whole situation.
Mhm.
Um Yeah, it's so frustrating to look at. This is the lowest of low for the whole trilogy for me. Um,
Agreed.
I
Agreed.
don't think there's a scene worse than in terms of the impact of the trilogy either.
And I tell you what else didn't make sense to me was when they show up there to collect Jean, when Xavier has his premonition and they show up to collect her, and there's clearly disproportionate gravity in this
Hmm.
area. Why don't they float? Like
Thank you.
why are they the only ones other than the
Hmm.
one log that they see affixed to the ground, right?
Yep.
Like it doesn't make sense that you see this water evaporating and they just and they're walking and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
do they have on gravity boots? Like, is it
Yeah.
like what's going on here, right? So
Yep.
I don't know. That kind of occurred to me, but
I've wondered that since I first saw this movie. I was what, 5 years old when this movie came out, and I was just like, that's not how gravity works. I was 5 years old and I understood how gravity worked.
and you because you're a smart guy, man. You've been smart all your life, you know. Um, so again, here's what's interesting, right? So mm, 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 mm. They go back, they bring Jean back to Charles's mansion, and Jean wakes up and she's the Phoenix, and she, to put it bluntly, is in the mood. And Wolverine it's weird because at first he's like into it, and then he realizes, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. And she's like, no, and she's almost to the point to where she's demanding service, and she rips off his belt, and he's like, Gene, that's not you. And she drops this remark about Charles, but the one thing that we see about this Phoenix personality, it's malevolent. It's incredible. It's malevolent and it's manipulative because she knows that Wolverine didn't know about it. And she drops it at the inopportune time because she knows whatever happens, Wolverine isn't going to trust Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's interesting because a couple of things happen here in the interaction with, I think it was prior to them going out to collect Jean Grey.
Mm-hmm.
But Xavier says to Storm, well, you're gonna need to lead the team. And she goes, what about Cyclops? And he goes, he's just been a wreck ever since Jean passed or whatever. Um, but it's kind of foreshadowing there, right?
Yeah.
Kind of foreshadowing. And then, Xavier and Wolverine have this conversation. And Wolverine says, wait a minute, you cut off parts to her, you restricted access to her brain and you didn't tell her. And Wolverine is pissed. And we see for the first time that he doesn't trust Charles.
Mm-hmm.
We see for the first time, like he really is pissed with Charles, A, because he's in love with, Jean Grey, but B, Wolverine doesn't trust anybody. Like we know his origin story. So for him to do that, that's kind of like something Stryker would do, right? And Wolverine doesn't say this, but because we know his character, we know that's what he's thinking, right? And it's unfortunate because this is kind of the last conversation that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And, they go and they, hey, Magneto and Charles go to Jean Grey's home to collect her where she went. And what we see there, Jordan, is one of the most awesome displays of power. They really did a good job of that in that particular scene. I really like Juggernaut. I like the way that they portrayed him. I thought that he was cool. But just the fight scene here, they really get after it. And I mean, everybody involved, it's a great fight scene. But Jean Grey says to Charles repeatedly, get out of my head, get out of my head, get it. And she is, because he's like, look, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. And she will have none of it. And when she finally can't take it anymore, he says to her, just don't let it control you, because he knows he's about to die.
Mm-hmm.
And she rips him to shreds. And the funny thing about it is that Magneto, up to this point, is kind of egging her on until she does that. He really doesn't believe she's going to do that. He really doesn't believe it. He's like, oh, come on, Charles. You've always tried to hold her back. Don't do that. Let it go. He's egging her on,
Mm-hmm.
not thinking in a million years that she's in a very feral state.
Mm-hmm.
This is the caged animal. This is when animals most dangerous. You might want to not do that. Matter of fact, y'all might want to both leave, right? But nobody
Mm-hmm.
does that. And she rips him to shreds, lifts that house up, and this is really her coming out party because we see just the sheer volume of her power, the sheer awesomeness, the velocity at which she can do things. Like she's truly an unstoppable force. Jordan, give me your thoughts on this moment when Xavier's killed. What's going through your mind here?
So this was the first time I ever went to the theaters and watched a character die.
Mm.
Like see it on screen. This traumatized me for a little bit.
Okay.
Because because I also really liked Professor X,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean he was awesome, and I saw it and I was just like, what? Like it hit me, and I think for like the rest of the runtime, that's what I kept thinking about.
Yeah.
Um, and watching it now, I mean, now it kind of looks like how everybody died in Infinity War.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but
It did kind of look like that in the
yes,
way that he
same
did.
effects.
It did.
Yes.
It did look like that. Yeah.
It's crazy because that movie came out like 13, 14 years prior.
Yeah.
So, but I love this scene. I like the music because it really like it makes it dramatic but emotional
Mm-hmm.
because you care about all these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And with and yeah, you're right. Magneto's just egging her on, not thinking that in a million years that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy that the like it's so sad that like the last time Wolverine sees Professor X, he watches him. He like Professor X looks at him, smiles, and literally fades to dust.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's so sad and emotional, and all right, we're gonna go back to James Marsden and Cyclops' death because we have a whole funeral. We have like we feel the emotions in this moment at
Mm-hmm.
people crying when Professor X dies, and we feel nothing when Cyclops dies. We live. There's a by the end of the movie we see that there's a
A
tombstone,
memorial. Yeah,
but
there is a stone for him.
but that's it. Nothing. No emotional because nobody cared about the character, and
Yeah.
everybody cared about Professor X. So and Patrick Stewart. So, and I mean, you follow up the scene with like one of the mutant brotherhood, the Brotherhood of Mutants.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that someone says something bad about Professor X, and Magneto comes to him, and he's like that,
Don't ever
like
do that again.
Professor X did more to the mutant kind in this community than you would ever know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And it's a shame
and
he had to
I
die.
I love that so much because it just goes to show how much they cared for one another,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
it ultimately in that moment I think that's the closest that I ever see Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen's characters get until Days of Future Past,
Right.
because the prequels do that great of a job making those two characters care for one another.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, in that moment, and you're like, because yeah, so X-Men: The Last Stand is in this timeline is connected to First Class, but only First Class in terms of the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it eventually becomes connected to Days of Future Past, which leads to that new timeline. But um, like you see that same character from First Class in that small little interaction. That's like these two cared seriously for one another.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, the whole fight scene, you see Juggernaut and stuff. Storm is just awesome as always.
They did
Um,
a really good job of Storm with this film.
Oh
They
yes,
did a really good job. They finally got her powers
yes,
right. They even gave her some line, like she felt like a person, right?
yes,
And not like this object, like in the first one. So
yep.
I got to give them that. But go ahead.
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
No, and they do such a great job with her in this, but I also think that was because James Marsden had the scheduling conflict, so they needed another lead, and then
Right.
the next lead was so obvious that it was going to be Halle Berry as Storm. Um, I mean, I don't even know if Halle Berry had scheduling conflicts. I don't know who you're going to do next, Iceman.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they did this scene in particular. In my opinion, it's the peak of the movie.
Hmm.
Like outside of of when Magneto pulls the bridge off,
Yeah.
that's my favorite scene of the whole movie. Um, but this this whole scene, I think it's the peak in terms of the emotions, in terms of the 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 after effects of this scene. Just everything that leads in this movie is peaks at this part. Even though the finale is the way the finale is, we feel more emotions in this scene because of who all is involved.
Let's talk about Mystique's rescue because I had forgotten about that. And I mean, that forced me to look at Magneto in a totally separate way,
Yep.
right? Because Magneto and his crew attack this convoy that are transferring prisoners, Mystique being one of them, multiple man, um, who else?
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut, and I think somebody else was in there, but
Yeah.
anyway, um, they obviously take out the convoy, and they free all the prisoners. And during the struggle, the security guard gets loose, fires the weapon that would remove any mutant would remove their power, and Mystique steps in front of the bullet that would have taken Magneto's power, and it hits her, and it takes away her mutant ability.
Hmm.
And I had forgotten this, but I will never forget it. He looks at her and he says, "I'm sorry, you're no longer one of us."
Mm.
And I didn't know if it was because of his hatred for humankind or because he doesn't have the ability to love.
Hmm.
Because if anybody's been with him from day one, it's Mystique.
Yeah.
It's Mystique. Yeah, you're day one. And even though she's not a mutant, I think it's understandable that she is definitely for the cause and still down. And you could have made a place for her, but you left her there naked. You don't even leave clothes for her at this point because she can't change.
Hmm.
So you left her there naked with no dignity and you just bounced.
Yeah.
Again, I'm saying to myself, do you hate humanity that bad? Do you hate humans that bad? Are you that broken that basically it's the same prejudice that the humans have for you, you basically have for them?
Hmm.
Because you're gonna like, this is your ace.
Hmm.
This is your number two. This is your soldier. And you're gonna leave her on the field of battle naked, like a baby, with no weapon, with no protection, not even clothed. I again, to me, be careful what you hate
Hmm.
because you just may become it.
Hmm.
The more you look into the abyss, the more the abyss stares back into you. He literally hates humans, or he can't love, or maybe both. Give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, it's I always when I looked back on this, when I first saw this scene, I was just like, I was dumbfounded because I'm like, with everything she's done for you,
Mm-hmm.
and look, we by that point the prequels weren't even a thought
Mm-hmm.
when I first saw this movie, and I'm like, she's done like everything for you. She's been right by your side day one, and you're just gonna leave her there. Like, I think by that point, Magneto stopped caring. Um, I don't know. I wish there was, and this is where I don't know when it happened, but it felt like there was a switch that happened where he just didn't care in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you see the events of X2 and they're very different Magnetos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in my opinion, this is probably I did say the first X-Men movie was probably the least comic book accurate Magneto.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of falls in line with the Magneto of the first X-Men movie,
Mm-hmm.
and in where like he's just there was some sort of switch, and I don't know why he's doing certain things.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what his end goal is.
I think he
Um,
hates humanity, right?
yeah.
And there's a parallel arc here between Jean Grey and Magneto because
Hmm.
even though he doesn't kill her, he leaves her on the field of battle. And
Hmm.
Jean Grey has killed Cyclops and killed uh, Professor X
Hmm.
basically because of the loathing and the hatred within her that is now given birth, right?
Yeah.
And again, be careful what you hate, man. I had forgotten about that, and I remembered in that moment, and I'm like, oh God, he's gonna leave her. But I forgot that she took the bullet for him,
Yeah.
right? Like I kind of again, it's been a while since I seen it, but I was like, oh my God, he's gonna leave her, and we see her take the bullet, drop down, go to her natural human form, bucky naked, and he just walks out. I'm sorry. You're now one of them. Or what did he say? You're not one of us. And I was
Yeah.
like, that is cold, man. That is cold. Anyway, he goes on to build his army. Um, and the assault on Alcatraz begins. And the one thing I liked about this is that they're getting ready to go in there. Pyro's getting ready to go, and he's like, no, you always let the pawns go in first,
Hmm.
which is kind of a callback to he and Charles and the fact that they
Hmm.
play chess, right? Which I thought
Yep.
was kind of cool. And it plays out exactly how we think it's going to play out. A lot of the pawns get killed or, basically get their powers taken from them. And then the real fight begins.
Hmm.
Um, and I thought it was I look I thought it was very well done. I think by the time they got to this film, they understood how to manifest everyone's powers in battle. I really like the way they did Juggernaut. I really like the way they did Kitty Pride. I thought that was kind of cool the way they were going through it. I liked it. Um, it was pretty good, man. It was a pretty good little battle. I like the way they got after it. Um, I thought it was pretty good, man. So I enjoyed it. But Jordan, tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, I will say after that fight scene in Jean's old home, um, from then on out, like Jean's powers aren't displayed until the final scene,
Hmm.
and that's disappointing. And that's a major issue for me when the whole plot point of this movie, and you start off the movie with Jean, Jean,
Hmm.
Jean, Jean, and it's like there's a huge gap in between those two scenes that
Hmm.
nothing happens outside of when Wolverine goes to see the Brotherhood of Mutants in the woods and
Hmm.
has a fantastic fight scene. It was a really cool fight scenes that he was having and
Yeah,
fighting a bunch of
they
people.
were. They were.
Um, and he like Gene shows up there, but otherwise, like Gene's a pretty irrelevant until that final scene, and I don't really. I don't have an explanation for that. It's like they want. It's like again with all there was too many plot points in this movie.
Hmm.
And there wasn't a major plot point either, which is that's so weird. And like outside
Hmm.
of, I will say the Cure. The Cure was probably the biggest plot point of this movie,
Hmm.
and it ended up just by the end of the movie not mattering at
Hmm.
all because the Cure was just temporary. Um, and it was temporary, and like when it came to the final battle, it didn't matter. Like they just shot all the pawns with it, and then that was it. But
Hmm.
like and Magneto, but it was just temporary again. So it didn't matter. There was and that's like the difference between like this movie versus like Spider-Man 3 or X-Men Origins Wolverine. Spider-Man 3 and X-Men Origins Wolverine, they both have major plot points on top of how many other subplots that they have there's a lot of them. This movie is like a bunch of subplots
Yeah.
thrown in, and there's no balance to it.
Yeah.
But when you do get to the final fight, I love the bridge scene.
Yeah.
When I first saw this scene, I just loved it. I was like, Magneto's that guy. Magneto's that guy.
Magneto's him.
Like
Yeah.
he just, I didn't really know the extent of his powers because I'm like, I mean, we didn't get to I mean, X-Men Apocalypse wouldn't come out for like what 11 years or
Yeah.
12 years after
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
to see the full extent of what Magneto could do, and this was the first time where I was like, "Whoa, Magneto's like really powerful,"
Yeah. He's
uh,
him. He's him.
and it's such a cool scene with the Golden Gate Bridge and going to Alcatraz, and I loved it so much. I do love the idea that thematic relevance of chess and the final fight, having
Hmm.
all of the X-Men line in a line,
Hmm.
and then them sending the pawns. Like it is a very, it's like they knew exactly what they were going to do with the final fight of
Hmm.
this whole trilogy
Hmm.
when this whole started, because that is an awesome way to bring circle back around to it's such a small thing, but it's what connected Charles and Charles um and Magneto
Hmm.
is chess. I mean that's how they've always fought each other, is like chess. But this was almost a literal example of chess in a fighting. Um and it was so cool. I love Kitty Pryde and her little thing with Juggernaut. I always laugh at that. It's such a funny they have such a funny interaction when she's trying to save the kid. Which also the kid, like they have the cure. So you should be able to replicate, and they are replicating the cure from his blood. So sh- does he even matter? I mean, like whether you have him or not, I mean, I mean, you could kill the kid, but they can still replicate the serum. They can still replicate the cure. So
What?
it's like
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. So
I guess he's the source. You could always destroy it, right? Like you could, because it's being right now it's being made at that one center. It's not mass produced. Now I agree.
yeah,
If it gotten to the point of mass production, well, it's game over.
yeah,
But it's in one centralized location. And the other thing is, for me, in this battle, Jean Grey is the queen in chess.
yeah,
So you would deploy her strategically. And then the other thing is, I really think Jean is kind of, when she's dormant, she's kind of battling within herself because she knows she's killed Cyclops
Hmm.
and she knows she's killed Professor X, and that's got to weigh on her, right? So she's kind of deciphering, what do I do here? Because she hasn't fully given control to it. Because if she had, the world be destroyed. She'd have gone on her whatever, right?
Hmm.
So I think the reason for the dormancy, not just to help out the plot, but I think she's kind of warring within herself,
And
right?
I agree 100% with that, and that's what I think is going on. I just don't think they do a great job of displaying
Oh,
that, and
they
they do
definitely don't.
they
They
do a
don't.
great job of that in Dark Phoenix. A great job. It's something I applaud, showing like she's clearly struggling,
The trauma.
and
Yeah.
I don't see any sort of struggle until like her and Hugh Jackman interact.
Right. 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 And I agree. I agree. They kind of, they did not do a good. They inferred a lot, right?
Yes.
You know, like it's inferred that probably what happened with Scott is he was like, well, we need to go back, and she probably was like, no, and he made the mistake of saying we're going, and
Hmm.
that if I had to think at why she would do that, that probably angered that personality. Like, oh, you're just trying to control me.
Hmm.
You got to go, right?
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, she and Wolverine go at it, and he says to her, well, I didn't come for them, I came for you, and this touches her heart, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And she relaxes for a minute, and he sends her on to glory,
Hmm.
and that's pretty much it. But one thing that kind of puzzled me was that, why wasn't Magneto locked up at the end? Like, he's in this park playing chess, but
He
why
doesn't
didn't
have
they
any
lock him up?
powers. He doesn't have any
Still,
powers.
he committed crimes though. He
That's
committed
true.
crimes.
That's true. You're very right with that. That is very true.
Like,
He still should be locked up. Yeah.
why? What?
Unless they don't think he's a danger to society and that he's too like far gone, and I don't know. That, like you said, they infer too much. And in my opinion, that's what made the MCU so great.
Hmm.
Is they treated every single movie like every minute detail. They wanted to hold your hand and show you everything.
Yeah.
They wanted to tell you everything. There was no inferring. And that's what a lot of issues in current Marvel movies have been.
Mhm.
There's a lot of inferring that goes on,
Yep.
especially in like movies like She-Hulk and or shows like She-Hulk, movies like Eternals. There's a lot of inferring that goes on. You walk us through it. Pretend we're in elementary school. We're in
Talk about
kindergarten. We're in
hero.
kindergarten. We're sitting crisscross applesauce, and you're teaching us our ABCs. So, like, you have to do that
You
because,
have to do that.
like, not all of us can be smart like you and I. Not all of us can be the most intelligent human beings on this earth like you and I. Um, some of us need to just sit down and be told our ABCs, right? Do that. I don't inferring in movies is the laziest form of writing
It really is.
that you could have, and there's a lot of inferring in
Aside
this.
from retconning, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
that number
retconning.
two. Aside from
Yes,
retconning, yeah, but
yes,
that was. I'm just sitting there like, why is he not in? Like, are you serious? This
yep,
dude, to your point, destroyed the Golden Gate Bridge.
yep.
Okay, he's not put to death, let
Hmm.
alone. But at a minute, so I'm like, okay, whatever, whatever, X-Men. But it's interesting because in the last scene we see him kind of move the piece just a bit, which kind of again infers that his powers are coming back. But I sit there and I say to myself, he's thinking about Charles. He's having a game in his head that he and Charles have played. You know what I mean? And his friend is gone, and it's sad because it's just sad. It's such a sad scene, man. because you don't have
Mhm.
your friend, and you don't have your right hand soldier, and you did it all for what? You did it all for power. You wanted to rule the humans, and now look at you, right? And again, one of the themes is absolute power corrupts absolutely, and it does. We see that theme
Mhm.
over and over again. The precious, it doesn't stop. You know what I mean? He got caught up. He wanted the power. He wanted to use Jean Grey for himself as a weapon.
Mhm.
And when she loses it, he's like, what have I done? After he lost his powers, it was funny because before he lost his powers, he knew, well, I'll be all right. But after he lost his powers, oh shit, what have I done? Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the.
Mhm.
But anyway, um, yeah, I thought that was I thought that was interesting. Um, it's sad that Xavier had to go. They really did my man Cyclops dirty,
Mhm.
but all in all, I liked it. I liked the way that it ended. Let's talk about the character arcs. Wolverine from loner to responsible leader, his most emotional decision, and he does. Wolverine does. I would say Wolverine and Storm probably have the biggest character arcs in here. They really do. Jean Grey just goes full on into destruction. Um, Again, absolute power, corrupting absolutely. Magneto, charismatic extremist, more tactics than ideology this time. I think Magneto's issue was he lost his humanity. At the root of it all, he lost his humanity because there's no way I'm ever leaving Mystique. I'm like she's an honor.
Mhm.
Even if she's not a mutant, she's an honorary member. That's just the right thing to do. So for me, his character arc is he literally became what they hated and what he hated. He lost his humanity. It's just bottom line. Um, Beast ascends to a position of leadership, but he also has to embrace the beast side. He even
Mhm.
he references Winston Churchill
Yes.
when he says there comes a, and it's funny, he's like, there comes a point every, well, you know what I mean, and then just
Mhm.
proceeds to kick ass. But he has to embrace both sides of himself to get through this battle. But give me your thoughts. Did we miss anything or anybody?
I will say with Wolverine, overall in the trilogy, he's definitely the best character arc. But in this specific movie, what is his character arc? Is a question. That's
So in the beginning, like at the beginning of the movie, he's pissed with Xavier,
Mhm.
and he kind of regresses to I don't trust anybody, Wolverine, because that's
Mhm.
what it's about. Like for Charles to say to him, well, I did what I needed to do to protect her. You
Mhm.
have no idea what she's capable of, and he says, no, I have no idea what you're capable of.
Mhm.
And in that moment, he's thinking, man, you're just like Stryker.
Yeah.
You're just like him, right? And through Charles's death, he accepts that, well, Charles was right. Maybe he needed to do that. But he buys into the whole X-Men thing. He rallies the troops and he says, look, man, they kill Xavier. I'm not going to let him die in vain. I don't know what you guys are going to do. Because remember, they say it's only six of us. And he says, well, look,
Yes.
I don't know what you guys are going to do, but I'm not going to let Charles die in vain. He's full in at that point.
Mhm.
Because remember, in the previous two, he kind of goes and comes. Like he's there
Yes.
for the battle, then he leaves again. Right? Then
Yes.
he's there for then. But in this instant, he's like, no, I'm in. I'm in all the
Mhm.
way. And to me, he also embraces a position of leadership. Now he's different, obviously, than Storm,
Yes.
but he definitely takes on that mantle. At
Mhm.
least in my thoughts. But give me yours.
Um. No, thank you for that because I'm with his arc in this movie. It's definitely not as straightforward as the first two
Oh no,
movies, and
definitely.
in
Yeah.
my opinion, this is definitely his weakest character arc of all of the Wolverine movies. It's just not abundantly clear his character arc. Um, and Halle Berry has very clearly one of the best character arcs and character developments in this movie. Um, with Magneto, I mean, yeah, his character arc is, I mean, it's he learns a lot. Even for an old man, he learns a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and Beast, yeah, I Beast has a character arc because he needs to embrace that Beast side, and that's always kind of been Beast's character arc
His
is like he
struggle, yeah,
needs to, yeah, that's something he's always struggled with.
yeah.
Jean, however, I don't see a character arc with Jean, mainly because a lot of inferring, like we said.
Hmm.
It's it's you see the duality of like you said with the desire and destruction, and it's two sides to the same coin, and there's not really any sort of like by the beginning of the movie she's like I'm back, but you can clearly tell something's messed up with her.
Comes off,
And
yeah.
by the end of the movie, I mean, throughout the movie, she's like, kill me, kill me. And like, she just, by the end of the movie, she's like, kill me. And then he finally kills her, and then she's at peace. And I don't think there's an arc there. I don't think she learns anything. I don't
Mm.
think,
There's
because
growth.
by the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, she's the same person. It's just the Phoenix and Jean Grey, one could take over the other.
Hmm.
So there's not much arc necessarily for her. I don't think she learns all that much. Um, and another character arc with minor subplot with Rogue.
Yeah.
Um, I don't like her character arc, even though it makes sense. I don't like it because, like we said to start this, like it's her storyline should have been her embracing her powers and in loving oneself. That should have been the moral of the story for her, and her going out and getting the cure. Look, I would have done the same thing. And but that's the strength you need to show in a movie like this. You need to display strength that no matter what you go through, you're still going to be you. And by her going and getting the cure, while it makes sense, I don't think it's a teachable moment. And so her arc, it's not an arc, it's more like a smiley face. I mean, I wouldn't even call it, no, it doesn't arc, it just slopes down.
Hmm.
Um like the it's just it's I don't care for that scene all that much. Also, like Bobby is kind of a pain because he's like clearly like really likes Kitty Pride, and
Hmm.
um I don't know if they're together still, if Rogue and him are together technically in this movie. I
Hmm.
guess they technically are. If so, um I would say he's kind of cheating on her.
Kind of,
So
kind of.
yeah.
But
So
they're teenagers, right? They're teenagers
yes.
who've been and they've been exposed to a lot of trauma. You
Yes.
know, number one. And number two, you could, not that you have to, but you could draw a parallel between Rogue's arc and a lot of women today with the BBLs and the breast augmentations
Yeah.
and the modifications that they make to themselves to appear perfect, right?
And I just had this conversation with someone, and I told them, I was like, why would you change something if you know that, if why would you change yourself for a moment in time when you know you could be with that person for forever and they're just going to know who you are anyways. That was what I said to them.
Yeah.
And Rogue, yeah, you're right. She was going into that persona of what women are going through now, and it's like, again, this could have been a teachable moment, and it wasn't. And
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's just it's You could have said, love yourself. Love yourself. That the whole moral of this whole movie could have been love yourself, because you could have found a way to tie that in with Jean Grey, and you could have seen Jean actually have an arc
Mm-hmm.
by finding the love within herself.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have done that with Wolverine. We could have done that with Halle Berry. We could have done that with everybody, and we could have tied that into why Magneto isn't loving himself, because he has no love to
Yeah.
give.
I,
And
see-
you
I,
could,
see, I see what you did there. I like
yes,
it. I, I,
that
I see what you did there. But
yes,
the other side of that is it's not a perfect world, man. Like
I
let me give you an example. I got this tooth right here. All right, it's
know.
just hanging on for dear life.
Mhm.
It is, it is, it is hanging on for dear life. And I promise you, as soon as I get that bad boy replaced, Jordan, I'm going to do it. And yes, I
Mhm.
do love myself, but I don't love my smile.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
things are relative, right,
Mhm.
dude? She wanted to be a normal teenager. She wanted, bro. She just wanted to be touched. And
Oh yeah.
I, I under like. Don't get me wrong. I love what you said,
Mhm.
and it's true. But life isn't black and white. You get what I'm saying? Like, so that I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what they were trying to say. In that, you're right. In a perfect world, hey man, you know what? She should be able to. I love myself, whatever. But Jordan, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. In the midnight hour, I mean, let's keep it real. She's a teenager. You know what's going on. You remember what it's like. Don't act like you don't know what's. Hey man, hey, look it. She's looking at Bobby. Bobby's over here looking at this other girl. You know what's
Mhm.
about to go down. Okay, just keeping it real. So, hey man, hey, look, I'm trying to be tactful. She had a need, Jordan.
Well, I
Yeah.
will say, I think everybody would take that. I don't blame her for doing that.
Yep.
I I just
Cause let me ask the question.
it's such a
It
weird
is.
subplot,
It is.
because
But it's life. Let me ask you a
but
question. What's the first thing Bobby did when she told him she was sorry? What's the first thing he did?
well, she kissed, they kissed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
But
Yeah.
I'm just
Let me
I
ask
it's
you
so
this, Jordan. Let me ask you this. If you're Bobby, okay,
I'm
what's the
not
first thing you
commenting.
gonna do,
I'm
Jordan?
not commenting, Wes. I'm not I'm not commenting. Um I it's just it's such a weird subplot, because there's no arc. I everybody would, if anyone had her powers, absolutely. Honestly, if she had anyone else's powers in this movie, she shouldn't take the cure. She had Storm's powers, Beast's powers, anyone's powers.
Absolutely.
And but because it's Rogue, it, it it would make sense for her to take it. And I'm trying to find the morals in this movie, and I the themes.
It it it
There's so many.
it's shades of gray, man. It's shades of gray.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what to your point, what's good for Storm may not be good for Rogue.
Oh, another example, and another subplot in this movie, Angel.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is perfect.
That's a good point.
And
That is a good point.
but his character does nothing throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Like the first part of the movie, beautiful, beautifully done. I
Mhm.
love it. That is how you should have opened this movie. If the whole point of this movie was about loving yourself,
And
that's how you
self-acceptance.
open. But they did nothing with his character, and so I mean, I had the Angel action figure from this movie, and they just did nothing with, his character, and uh, it's like they knew what they wanted. It's like some people knew what they wanted to do, and other people didn't know what they wanted to do, and studio interference and actors not being on schedule, and there was just a lot going on. And I I do understand. I understand based off her power set that she should have taken this. She should have taken the cure. I will. I'm not gonna. I'm. I'm not gonna. I'm not against her choice. I guess I'm against
The
the
message,
story.
the
The
message.
story. Yes, I'm
Right.
against the message that it sends.
Yeah.
Uh, because I mean, yes, if that were anyone I knew, or if that were myself, I'd be completely supportive of them doing that.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Um,
I don't think it's a right or wrong answer, Jordan.
yeah.
I think that's the point. Like, to your point, Warren's character, to me, and I love that. I love the way they did it,
Hmm.
because what it says to me is there are a lot of parents out there that are disappointed in their kids because of the choices that they make.
Hmm.
I want you to be a doctor. Well, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be a teacher. Okay,
Hmm.
well, now blah 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 blah, and you write them off, and you have nothing to do with them. But guess what? When you need them, when
Hmm.
you get thrown out of a window and you're about to descend to your death, here comes your son. And the very thing that you hate about him is the reason that you are alive today.
Hmm.
I love that message, because I'm going to tell you
Hmm.
something, Jordan. I know people from all walks of life.
Hmm.
I know some people who do some good things. I know some people who do some not so good things. I know some people who speak the King's English perfectly, and I know people who speak broken English. But you know what, Jordan? There's sometimes where diplomacy won't get it done. Sometimes you need some thugs, if you will, in your corner.
Hmm.
Sometimes you need some folks that maybe taking a few missteps on the side of the road, because those are going to be the only ones that's going to stand with you.
Hmm.
Those that are educated and nice and speak the King's English, they're not going to be caught dead when it comes to something that you got to lose, right?
Hmm.
So I think what they're saying, in in my opinion anyway, is accept people where they are,
Hmm.
because they just may help you. Like, again, if he had given Warren that shot and his son took it, he's dead,
Hmm.
because there's no Warren to, and Warren comes from out of nowhere. I love the way they did that.
Hmm.
I love the way they did that, because to a certain extent I've lived that, right?
Hmm.
And so I see what they're, and again, look, with life, you are absolutely right. To young women out there who want to change their bodies for the sake of changing their bodies, no, you should love yourself, right? You should love yourself.
Hmm.
You should. I, for one, think you need to be of a certain age if you're going to do body modifications anyway. I don't think you need to be able to do it as a teenager. I don't even think you need to be able to do it at 18 or 19. I think you need to be maybe a full, I don't know, let's say 23, 24, before you can process the modifications that you make, because a lot of people do get caught up in that. It can
Hmm.
also be addictive, right?
Hmm.
In that you're constantly changing things about yourself, so much so that when you're done, you don't even recognize yourself.
Kardashians.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. But the issue is, to your point, you didn't love yourself anyway. There was no physical form that was going to make up for the lack of love that you have for yourself. And I
Hmm.
get that. And you're right about that. But again, we don't live in a vacuum,
Hmm.
right? You get what I'm saying? So
Yep.
there's some instances where, I could get it, but that's a good call out by you, man,
Hmm.
because I didn't think about that, but you're 100% right. That's a good
Also,
call.
something small that I've thought about since the first X-Men movie is why not when they kiss? Why not? Why doesn't Iceman just freeze his lips? Because then there's no skin to skin contact. Because
That's a good.
he does this in the comics. He does it in the comics with Rogue, and that's something I thought they were. I didn't know that he did it in the comics when I thought about it, and then I read the comics and I'm like, That's exactly what I was thinking he could do. And I was like, it's not skin to skin contact, I get that, but we're trending in the right, it's a step up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you could. Well, but I guess okay. Let's put our movie hat on, right?
Yeah.
Nothing sells like push and pull, right?
Yes. Oh, of
Nothing
course.
sells like
Of course.
love that you just a forbidden love or a love that can nothing. So that's probably why they did it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, they definitely could have, and maybe in future iterations they will.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, that's a good call out. Good discussion. I love the film work in here. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it. Top three scenes for me. I'm gonna say the last battle. I think that was pretty cool. The Golden Gate Bridge thing. I forgot just how
Mhm.
awesome that was. Like that was
Mhm.
that was a pretty cool scene.
Mhm.
And then for me, although it was it was sad in the way that it was Xavier's death, but just the sheer awesomeness of Jean Grey's power in that scene, like,
Mhm.
damn, like she is an Omega level mutant. Like we get the
Mhm.
like you don't mess with her. Don't do it. It's not gonna end up well. Those are mine. Um, there's also the Danger Room training session. But yeah, for me, those were my three favorite. Give me your three favorite.
I love the danger room scene at the beginning of this movie. It's
Yeah.
so fun, and I love that the entire time, Wolverine's got a cigar in his mouth, and the cigar gets knocked out of his mouth. He's like, "That was my last cigar," and it's it's so funny. I love that scene, and he ends it with class dismissed. It was awesome. I love it. Yeah, I love that scene. I love the obviously the Golden Gate Bridge and Magneto. That's just so iconic. And then yeah, the fight where Professor X dies. The emotions behind that are incredible. Also like it's so minor, but I love just the look on Beast's face when he meets the boy for the first time. Um, and his hand shifts to his human form and his non-mutated form, and it's the look on his face. And I love Kelsey Grammer in this. I'm going to take this part time to talk about Kelsey Grammer and the makeup on him, because I love Kelsey Grammer, and I love his portrayal of Beast, and I love the makeup that they have on him so much. I think he does such a great job. I'm in the Marvels end credit scene when we see Kelsey Grammer, and it's a CGI version, but it's more X-Men the animated series accurate. I still love that. I'm really looking forward to seeing Kelsey Grammer back as Beast, in Doomsday and potentially Secret Wars. Um, I think it's incredible, and this scene where you see the look on his face, it's like he hasn't seen that side of him in years, and
Mhm.
it's just this it's a wholesome moment,
Mhm.
and in that moment, I think that pushes him further to embrace his B side,
Mhm.
to see that, like, to see how close he could be to getting a cure, and he's just
Mhm.
like, no, I don't need that. So I love that. It's a minor scene. It's not, maybe not a top three scene, but it's a scene that every time I watch it, I'm like, I enjoy this scene.
I think Kelsey Grammer is one of the best. Kelsey Grammer is a thespian. He's not
Yeah.
an actor. He is a thespian.
Hmm.
This is the same guy that did Frasier, and if you've never
Hmm.
seen Frasier, one of the funniest shows ever. Like hilarious. By the look on your face, you haven't seen it.
I know Frasier, and I know they came out with like a, not a reboot,
The
but like
reboot.
Kelsey Grammer came back for like like newer episodes, new
Have you seen
seasons.
it?
I've wanted to. My mom has seen it. I've wanted to. I just have never gotten around to watching it. But it's. I mean, I remember I've seen it on TV a bunch of times.
Frasier's hilarious, man. But Kelsey Grant, just the range he has,
Hmm.
because Frasier's hilarious. Frasier's a bit of a narcissist. Obviously, his character originated on Cheers, but just that entire series is hilarious. But to go from that to Beast, he also played in a series on Stars where he was this mayor who was going through Alzheimer's or something like that. But his character was one who craved power and wielded power, and the series is about his struggle to hang on to that whilst in the process of losing his mind and trying to see what is reality versus fiction. But two completely different characters, plays them both great. And I think Kelsey Grammer is the perfect Beast, because he's so beastly on the outside, his character is extremely refined.
Hmm.
He speaks the King's English like the King's English. He's just a gentleman. I mean, he
Hmm.
probably went to Harvard. Like, he is a gentleman. That's the dichotomy for me, is that the ultimate refinement versus who you are when everything falls apart. And there's that line that he has to walk, right?
Hmm.
It's kind of like, I'm not going to use that analogy, but um, it's interesting. They do a great job. Kelsey Grammer's a great actor, and I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do with this character in Doomsday. I really am, because I
And
just think he is perfect for Beast.
like, I mean, let's talk about Nicholas Holt's Beast versus Kelsey Grammer's Beast, because like that's the one thing I love about Beast and X-Men the
Mm,
animated series is how polite he is and how nice he is.
mm,
He's a really nice person. That's something that I got annoyed with Nicholas Holt's Beast, is that he's not really not. I mean, he was mean to Jennifer Lawrence in X-Men First Class, saying like don't you want to get rid of your mutation and stuff like that, and like he was just inconsiderate. And that's not who Beast is. And so, and maybe that was a younger version of him, so he was
right,
learning.
right.
It still, it ended up, and I never saw how nice he was in like later films. Like he ended up just, he ended up not being nice. And Nicholas Holt's a fantastic actor. I think that was just how he was written, and I
Mhm.
think Nicholas Holt did exactly what he needed to do with what was written. But Kelsey Grammer's Beast, that is literally pulled from X-Men the animated series. I
Agreed,
love it that much.
agreed. And to your point, it's like, what, a 30-year difference between them. So
Yes,
it's kind of like, he's got many rivers to cross. He's got to
of course.
mature. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And in that moment, even though he's talking to her,
Hmm.
he's talking about himself.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You get what I'm saying? He's
Yep.
talking to her, but he's really saying, "I would,
Hmm.
I would if I, you know what I mean? Because think
Hmm.
about it. She's a pretty girl.
Hmm.
He's awkward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
She's the prom queen,
Hmm.
right? He- he's not. So all he wants is acceptance, and she's struggling with it because on some level or another, she likes who she is when she's in blue.
Hmm.
She wants the world to accept her. He just wants to be accepted in any form. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like there's, and that's the wonderful thing about X-Men. Characters like Beast, Kirk Wagner,
Hmm.
Mystique, on some level, it's the same struggle,
They're
right?
blue.
Well, they're blue, but there's that. But Kirk appears like a devil,
Mhm,
and he has one of the purest hearts. But that's the whole Jekyll and Hyde thing. I appear this way, but I'm really this way, and a part of my existence is just trying to overcome my appearance so you will see me for the kind person that I am. That's Kirk, right? Beast is I'm going to be so educated and so reformed that you're not going to have a choice but to overlook my appearance and accept me. And Mystique is like, F all y'all. I'm going to be who I am, right? Which
mhm.
the ironic thing is, she's the one that loses her power of
Yep.
all of them, right?
Mhm,
That's where like they're kind of playing with us a little bit. Like of all
mhm,
the people that you could have done, you did the one that was most comfortable in her skin.
mhm.
And if there'd have been a four, can you imagine what she would go through? Can you imagine that?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like she's
Yeah.
what in her 40s and that like being 40 and all of a sudden being stripped of everything that makes you you. And now, even though the world considers you normal, you feel anything but. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I
Yep.
just yeah, I like the way they did that. But anyway, man, we gotta rate this thing. I told you this would be much more fun, Jordan. I knew it
Mhm,
would be. I had a feeling. I had a feeling we'd have
mhm.
fun with this one. Da. All right. So do we really gotta read this over again, or can we just
No, no. Well, at this point, we don't need to. We don't need to. We don't need to go back. Yeah.
this thing's kidding. It's a
Yeah.
big list, man. We're
Oh
making
yeah.
some headway, man. We are.
Oh yeah.
As a matter of fact, in a couple, don't we have Iron Man coming up pretty soon?
Shortly, yes. We are
I,
almost at the
I
actual MCU.
yeah, I think we got fantastic. You know what? Let me pull it up.
We got
We got
Fantastic Four for Rise of the Silver Surfer next week.
yeah, and then we got literally got Iron Man. So that's
Yeah.
that's gonna be cool. That's
Oh
gonna be
yeah.
cool. Plus, I like that movie, so it's gonna be cool.
Hmm.
All right, so
It's
I
only up from here. It's up from here
it's
because I
only
mean
up, man.
these two movies. Well, for me at least, I this was probably the worst it'll get until like probably Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, yeah. Which you know what? To be honest with you, I'm kind of looking forward to because
Yeah.
I'll look at it through new eyes. Right? It's going to be
Yes.
very interesting because now this thing is going to get faster and faster. But
Yes.
I gave this one. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. Those are my thoughts. Like I had to take off for the fact that you kind of took dramatic license and made the Phoenix a whole separate part of her personality.
Mhm.
But everything else I really liked in this film, and I enjoyed it. So I gave it a 7.5. Your thoughts, sir, and your rating, and would you give it?
Can you bring up the
Yeah,
list? I want to see where. So you said 7.5 out of 10.
I gave it a 7.5.
Last.
But I got a feeling that's not gonna be. ah, I think I
So
know what you're gonna give it, but
so
go
all
for it.
right. In comparison, so actually, wow, the other two X-Men movies in the trilogy, you also gave 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Where do you put that in with the rest of the trilogy?
Um. So for me, I'm gonna say X2. You know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna say this one is over X2 and X-Men. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just for me right now, because of everything that went on in this movie, man. Just because of the conversation that we have, like
Hmm.
this was fun. Like, and watching it was fun
Hmm.
because of the whole. Okay, well, you know, is it really fair to take away someone's essence? Like that's a real thing. Self love, love. Like it's a bunch of issues that are relevant to today. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's above both of them. That's me. I gave it a 7.5. What say you, sir?
Well, um, I there are a lot of. I'm going to start off by saying there are a lot of plot points in this movie.
Uh-huh.
And I think the themes are all over the place, and I think the acting from I just like Famke Jensen. I know she's a great actress in literally this trilogy. I think she's
Mhm.
better. In the last movie, she was so much better. In this movie, I just don't feel the same way.
She
Um,
kind of felt checked out. She did.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. She kind of felt checked out. I'll give you that.
Um, and I felt less emotions with her. Obviously, you kill off a main character, and then you don't even give them a proper funeral or a proper memorial with Cyclops. Um, you kill off Xavier, and then in the end, in the end credit scene, you put him in another body, and then with the cure itself, I mean, the cure was temporary, so like all the actions in this movie really didn't matter all that much from a cure perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, there's just a lot of things that I have a lot of questions about, and I'm the first time I watched it was the best time I watched it. Ever since then, I like it less and less. So I give it a 3 out of 10.
Damn.
Um,
Woo.
I
Wow.
I put it
Wow.
above. I put it yeah. I put it above Blade 2. Um, I I put this movie, Spider-Man 3, X-Men Origins Wolverine, and Blade Trinity. They all of those movies follow the same thing for me, in that there are so many plot points,
Going on.
and it's just not something that I'm going to recommend to someone. If you have a lot of plot points going on in a movie and it's hard to follow for the average person, I'm not going to recommend it for you.
That's fair.
And there's just so much going on in all of those movies. And for me, the reason why this is the lowest on it is that I feel more emotions in Spider-Man 3. Like I felt more emotions in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like I felt so. If you put it this way, the girl that Wolverine was with in X-Men Origins Wolverine that dies, we felt more in that moment for her than I think when Famke Jensen dies at the end of X-Men Last Stand. Like I because that took away from like Wolverine's peace in X-Men
Mm.
Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
While he loved her in X-Men The Last Stand, and we saw that develop over 3 movies, it just felt stale by the end of the movie. But we see how that affects him when we get to the Wolverine, and I can't wait till we get to that movie, because there, in my opinion, the first 95% of the Wolverine is one of my favorite Marvel movies ever. And so I can't wait for us to get to that. I don't even know when we'll ever get to that.
The
But
Wolverine. Hang on. I'll tell you because I got the list up that you sent
it's
me.
it's more than likely it's after Avengers and after the Amazing Spider-Man, off the top of my head. Um,
We're getting to
but
January 17th of 2026.
okay, yeah. So in a couple months. Um, but yeah, with this movie, I just I I I I feel less I feel less emotions, mainly because you just cut off. I just feel less when with a lot of the characters, a lot of it's like there's no substance for
Yeah.
some of these people that we care about, like we see in the first movie, in the second movie, and in this movie. Like I feel it almost it feels numb
Mm.
watching some of these characters die, watching some of these, I mean, I think Doomsday's probably gonna kill off some people.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Agreed.
I mean, I don't know who they're going to kill off, but I assume it's going to be a lot of people and a lot of these people. And I think we might have a more emotional impact on their deaths in that movie than we will in this movie.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. But you're right. It this felt like business.
Yes.
This felt like, yeah, we got to do this. You all know it's coming. Here it I don't want to say they hit you over the head with it, but it was definitely an undercurrent of this has got to happen.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to a more organic experience that takes you through it,
Mhm.
and takes you through the emotion. And that's one thing that Marvel does well,
Oh yeah.
is they take you through it, right? Like we've
Mhm.
often discussed, just the many emotions that we went through and in Endgame. But again, when Captain America picks up that hammer, I damn near jumped out of my seat. I mean, I just was like, oh my God, right? And scared the shit out of whoever was next to me. And they go after it and they fight, and then all of a sudden Thanos, the coward that he is, when Cap's beaten down and all his friends descends on him, and he says that line, "I can do this all day," and I'm like, "God dang it, Cap!" And you sit there, and it's nothing but stillness, and all you hear it, "Hey, Cap, on your left." I ain't gonna lie, man, I had a tear in my, like, oh my God, oh
I
my
had
no,
tears. I had
oh
tears.
my God, he's on your left, and you see all of these Marvel, you see the entire MCU good guy squad descend, and I'm like, holy shit, it is about to go down. They're just moments like that that you didn't get with this.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and even though we all knew that this was the end of the story, the bookend, this was the omega to the alpha, the revelations to the genesis,
Mhm.
it was still such organic storytelling. And I think, to your point, that's what this was missing, because this felt like, hey, this got to go. We need to send this out to production. This got to be cut. We got to wrap this. It felt like business. So I agree with you. I agree.
And what that based off our ranking, that's you're definitely your hottest take compared to what audiences generally agree with. Because I mean, audiences they the Last Stand's pretty low. I don't know what
Okay.
Last Stand's Rotten Tomatoes is, um, but
You know
I'm
what?
pretty sure it's really low.
It might be in that presentation that we have. Let's take a look at it.
I mean, I'm trying to think what my hottest take so far for my rankings are. It's it might be Fantastic Four First Steps.
So Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 56%. The
Yeah.
audience gave it a 61%.
Oh, that's not actually. You're pretty close. You're pretty accurate to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
A minus. Whoa.
Yeah.
So cinema score is the initial reaction that is given to the preview audiences. So the people that show up on Thursday nights
hmm
to go see the movie, that's their initial reaction to the movie. And to have an A minus is incredible. Like horror movies rarely get A minuses. They rarely get A's at all. I mean, I think Get Out was the only movie that got an
I
A
got
over the
that.
last
Yeah.
like 10 years.
Yeah.
Like it's so rare. So for this to have an A minus, that's again, like I told you, my first time watching this was the best time I watched this. But other than that, it's gotten worse over time for me. I'd be curious to see how many of these ratings, like what this movie would be rated if it came out today.
That would be interesting. That would definitely be interesting.
So
So,
maybe this is my hottest take then.
well, I mean, hey, look, we all, I mean, yeah, hey, man, it is what it is. I mean, I don't think you were wrong. I think we just, I don't think I don't think anything that I don't disagree with anything that you said. It's a lot of times for me, Jordan, it's the mindset I'm in when I watch it. Like I could
Hmm.
come back 3 months from now and watch this and be like, it's a two. It sucks. Especially being a bad mood, being an argument with my wife. Oh shit. What? I hate this movie. So it just, a lot of times it depends on the mindset that you're in. Plus, mind you, I was coming off of Blade Trinity. So
Ah, yeah.
ah,
Yeah.
I'm just
And
saying.
I have this actually below Blade Trinity.
I
Like
know, but
if you handed me both and I always look at it as if you hand me both movies, two movies, right?
mhm,
Which would I rather watch? And that's normally how I go with my ratings.
yeah.
Is like like 3 out of 10 times I would want to watch an X-Men: The Last Stand, uh, versus 4 out of 10 times I'd watch Blade Trinity. And I either way, I don't think either movie is that great. But like that, and yeah, between the two movies, if you handed me both, I'd rather watch Blade Trinity. Um, and which is crazy because if you asked me this probably 10 years ago, I mean, well, yeah, no. If you asked me this 5 years ago, I would have probably said X Men: The Last Stand.
Yeah.
Um, uh, it's just I guess because of how much better X-Men stuff we get,
hmm
it just makes it going back and looking at this and
Worse.
thinking worse. And I think this all started when Dark Phoenix came out.
Yeah.
Because I do like Dark Phoenix, and you like Dark Phoenix. Actually, you
Mhm.
like Dark Phoenix more than I do, and I like Dark Phoenix. I was a huge fan of it when it came out,
Mhm.
in the year of our Lord 2019, um, and watching that, and then going back and watching X-Men: The Last Stand, it's just it's such a emotional turn that's just like there's a lack of emotion that you feel. Like one of these days, I want you to watch X-Men: The Last Stand, watch Dark Phoenix, and then X-Men: The Last Stand, and you might feel the same way because it's such a drastic turn.
Okay. I can do that. I can do that.
Actually, do you have what did you have? Where did you have Dark Phoenix in your ranking?
Uh, where did I have it? I had it. I had it. I had it. I had
Eight
it.
out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had it above. So yeah, and I obviously had Dark Phoenix above. Well, actually, where did I have Dark Phoenix? Where is
Six
it?
out of 10.
6 out of 10. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, and that and but otherwise, I mean, I felt the emotions with Dark Phoenix, and that I didn't necessarily feel with The Last Stand. But yeah, one of these days, just watch them back to back, either one. We can start with one or the other, and then you'll be like, "Whoa!" It's just like jolts you in your seat. You're like, "Wait, this is completely different."
You know what? That could be a new series that we do. Once we
Hmm.
get done with this, is
Hmm.
watching like movies of that ilk back to back. I don't know, something we
Hmm.
could. But anyway, man, yeah, man, this was fun as it always is
Hmm.
with you, sir. Please tell these folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Ultegacy, Ultegacy. I post all things sports. I mean, we're talking about football season coming up. I just did a stream on Wednesday with A1 Forever,
You
with
sure
Smitty.
did.
And I met another Saints streamer, TJ. He was really cool. It was great being with them. It was the first time I was talking sports in a while. Last month has been hectic, so I have stuff written out to do videos, but I haven't done any videos. See, I'm literally sick right now. That's why we didn't stream last week. Um, but yeah, we're posting all things sports. And yeah, if you want to see more movie stuff, I'm on Letterboxd. I have all my rankings already done. Now with Blade Trinity done, every single movie and show that we watch from here on out, I already have rankings for them. They might change based off a rewatch, might not. I don't know. And if you want to see like what I'm watching recently, I'm on Instagram. I just saw on Monday I got an early screening for Wicked for Good. I'll watch anything, and I love The Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz is a 10 out of 10 movie for me. And I saw Wicked last year for an early screening, and I really enjoyed Wicked last year. I thought Wicked for Good was better, and by far better. I'd be curious to see how younger audiences who have not seen The Wizard of Oz will view this movie, because if you've never seen The Wizard of Oz, you probably aren't going to like Wicked for Good. I saw that, and there was another movie that I watched that I can't remember.
Now You See Me?
I think I'm going to see Now You See Me 3 tonight. I don't know if I'm going to rewatch the other two or not. I have general scores for them, but that was years ago. And I'd be curious to see how this one holds up with the other ones. But I'm very curious. I've heard good things about it. And Now You See Me movies are just they're just great entertainment. They're not these great outstanding movies at all. They're not bad movies either.
They're just fun. They're just fun.
You want to go out, have a fun time, just go watch this movie. So I'm looking forward to it.
Agreed. All right. Well, brother, as always, man, love doing these shows with you. You know that. So hey, we'll see you next week. We'll be doing Fantastic Four: Rise with the Silver Surfer. For those of you who, I know, right? Fine.
I love it. I can't wait. I need a whole segment for the Silver Surfer.
I can't wait. I can't wait either. I might even watch it today. I might. But anyway, hey, to those of you who joined us, appreciate you guys, man. Thank God for you guys coming in our path. Obviously, thank God for this gentleman right here. Very, very dear friend of mine. Last but not least, I want to thank Mr. Eric Parker and Mr. Jack Spade for getting my start in this business. You guys have an amazing day. We will see you next week. And yeah, Jordan, go Falcons!
This movie was about
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classes, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the